And
Let's
we
go.
are live.
Sound
SoundMinds.
minds. Let's go, y'all. It is 7 o'clock on a Sunday. What better to do but to be hanging out with the Sound Mind podcast and the Sound Minds family? Today we definitely got a special show going on. Um, one of the most one of the most prolific lyrical off the head lyricists to ever really grace the mic, you know what I mean, in hip hop, man. And I shot him out like that because he has won multiple battles on MTV. He has won multiple battles on Blaze. He has done a lot of things and he's on his way.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
we also Self Suffice is on his way.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah.
But
We out here.
shout out to the real light skin, man. My brother, real light skin, man. Break it down, man. You know you gotta break that name down every single time.
Let's go. Okay. So LiteSkin, LiteSkin stands for living it through every situation known in nature. You can find me on IG under Real LiteSkin123, RealLiteskin. 123. And my brother Rod, talk to me, man. What
Hey.
we went through the name change. We done went up a year. We got
Yes.
those Jesus numbers. Let's go talk
Yes,
about it.
man. We definitely is still. I'm still on that birthday high right now. I think I'm gonna ride this out the whole year, and we gonna continue to drop music under that King
Yes.
Rashaman name. So definitely pay attention to that King Rashaman. Just search Google King Rashaman, and now my name and my music is now pulling up. And that music specifically is, if you haven't heard it yet, that Fifth
What you all said.
Dimension featuring
Mm-hmm.
Cambada, who we had
Heat.
on last week, family,
Straight heat.
is out right now. You know what I'm saying? Streaming on all platforms. You go check it out on iTunes, Spotify, and on YouTube. Just type it in Fifth Dimension featuring Cambada. I'm talking about it's that lyrical shaman bars. You
Mm.
heard? We ain't that those are lyrical shamans right here. King Rashaman,
Fire.
that ain't for no reason. And Cambada is a shamanistic lyrical spitter. I'm gonna tell you
Mm-hmm.
right now. Listen, family, we got the family in the building. We got people in the chat already coming in. Shout out to the chat. We got
Miss
we got
Lucy
Self
LeBron
Suffice
is
in
in
the
the
chat.
building.
Yes, sir. We got C Guard in the chat.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Where it's at? We got
Uh,
Mac
uh,
Festa in the chat.
It's about to pop. Heroes of Colors on here too. We thank y'all for being on time. Thank y'all for definitely showing that support and love. So um yeah,
We
man.
got,
I mean
we,
the
we got a
track is
great
heat.
guest. We have a special guest for you, family. We have a special guest for you, family. I'm telling you, he's on his way right now. And just like how I want you to, it literally falls in line with all of our guests that we've had. You know, where when you Google our guests, when you Google them, you can
Mm-hmm.
see that these people, I'm talking about these artists have accomplishments. These
Right.
people got
Right.
accomplishments. These people has actually made they mark in hip hop,
Right.
in the industry. You feel me? And if not, if you haven't heard, you gotta catch up. So definitely catch up on our Sound Minds podcast and who we've been featuring lately. Let
Yeah,
me
go
get
get
this
all that
link sent
information on
over.
soundmindshiphop.com, Soundminds Hip Hop, the Facebook page. A lot of big things about the pop, a lot of other things that we got rolling in motion, but for the most part, we stuck here. You know what I mean? We stuck in the present right now so that we could give y'all the best of us for this Sunday. So for the most part, when you speak about MC battling, you know what I mean? This is the guest that we had tonight. Breez Evahflowin is one of the illest to ever do it, and I'm talking about battling when battling was going off the head. You know what I mean? Not
Uh,
necessarily knowing who your opponent was for months in. This was
you know what I mean?
this was real into you.
You talking that Freestyle Friday. That
Yeah.
Freestyle Friday style when it was supposed to be a
Mm-hmm.
freestyle, like you said,
Right.
back when it was
Right.
supposed to be freestyle. And that's a part of hip hop that I really respect the most. You know what I mean? It's something that I can do. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
can do it. But at the same time, I know that there's brothers like this that do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you
Right.
know what I mean? There's a difference between I can do it and
Mm-hmm.
there's brothers that do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, Breeze Everflowin is definitely on his way. He just jumped into the waiting room. We got Self-Suffice on his way coming in very, very soon. And we about to get this show rolling, man. As a matter
Let's
of
get
fact,
it.
let's jump into that intro.
Hey.
Let's jump into the intro as a
And
matter of
everybody
fact.
sing along too. Sing in your own house into
Cause
your own
because
headphones.
yes, there we go. Let's get into this intro, family. Sound Minds.
SoundMinds.
This is the Sound Minds podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the Sound Minds podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the Sound Minds podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. This is the Sound Minds podcast. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems. You don't want to miss these gems, no. Sound Minds to that. Sound Minds. Now let's go ahead. We got Self-Suffice in the building. Self-Suffice the rap poet. Sound
Peace,
Minds,
brother.
my brother.
My man got the cynical grin. Is he awake? Yes, he is. Okay. Okay. Is he talking?
I noticed Breeze just went live on the IG.
Okay.
I'm getting I thought I was getting the echo, and then I realized my YouTube of the show was playing while I'm in the show with you, cause I was locked behind the other side of the screen, yo. I felt like I was in a sci-fi film. I was like, I'm on the other side. I was in the chat with my peoples though.
Yes, sir.
Fire.
Yes, sir.
Fire.
And now that we got,
Self-suffice the rap poet,
Self-Suffice the rap
time is
poet.
money, your wealth is life. You heard me?
Let's bring in our special guest. Listen, like we talked about, freestyle champion on many, many platforms. You know what I'm saying? A spitter, a hip hop spitter. We got Breez Evahflowin.
Breeze.
Peace.
Peace to you, brother. It's been a long time. I should have left you. What up with you, man?
Should I pop on some headphones or something? Is it cool?
You sound good
so
from here.
All right, cool. I'll leave the headphones off then.
I'll tell you one thing before I even get started. From my joint last night, I said, you got something with cake, police, and it ends with peace. What do you say?
Cake, police, and it ends with peace. Oh, you got me right there.
We got Seagard in the chat, man. He said peace, Breeze.
I said communication, glove, and it ends with love.
Bars early.
That's it, Breeze, early to let y'all know. This man is a magician.
Talk to him.
He's a magician. I can't say anything to him. I gotta hit him early with the words and you know.
Yeah.
I got two more for you. You ready?
What's up?
Now watch how this comes full circle. I got genius, decrease, and masterpiece. See, now look, his brain's starting to bubble up. Ron, as you see, look at him.
Yeah.
See, that's why you can't start him with no corny questions like how long you been rapping. You gotta hit him with words. Now watch, I got one more.
All
Boom.
right.
Sunny, employ, and it ends with joy.
Ah.
Mm.
Look at his eyebrows. Yo,
I,
this man just wrote an EP in his head. Believe me. Believe me.
the
You
bad
know
part
this
is
ain't a regular podcast.
it
What's up,
follows
bro?
you though. It follows you, like all them things follow you. And you will find them come back and resurrect in your rhymes, like it all comes back around. So that's the crazy part, because you're saying that, but trust, like, give it a few months, and at some point, something's gonna resonate inside of there. That's gonna come from this.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of month, we got seasons. And I was fascinated because people gotta realize you're in the depth visual artist as well as the sonic artist. So like your last project had fall and spring, and then you brought it to before that was old man winter. You know, so it's like you going through the months, you going through the seasons, you're showing it you can be the same person going through different moods, emotions, and whatnot. So like I did the same thing on my last joint, Self Control, where it's my face on every single cover, but
Yeah.
it's different emotions, different colors. So you doing that with the seasons, and I feel like it. I couldn't have thought, like, for people who know you, I couldn't have thought of a better. I got it. You know what I mean? I got it. Cause you really shifted through so many things, multifaceted, being an ill soloist, being part of one of the strongest teams at NYC Underground, Stronghold. Salute the Stronghold. Being a battle rapper, being a song creator, being just a dude that, like, you know, it's a couple people that I could say rest in peace to Sean Price, rest in peace to PH. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a few stalwarts that if you was just coming up in hip hop and not relying on the radio, it was
Yeah.
people who you could go and see that would be like a stalwart there. You know what I mean? That would just, like, you look at that dude and you be like, keep going, blood. Keep going, young man. We out here living it. You know what I mean? Through every season.
Yes. Yes.
My,
I think that's the disconnect right there. It's like that people don't understand about that era, and I wish that you know, more of what's lying around, and Guy and Gaston, happy born day to the twins. They
Love
got
y'all.
all that footage on lock. They need to let. But I mean, seriously though, I mean, how many ciphers were we in together throughout that whole era? And certain heads you just see coming back and forth. People who didn't even want to go to the studio, like Karate Joe. You remember Karate Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Karate Joe wasn't like a studio rapper. He was
Mm-mm.
in Times Square getting money. But when he would step into the ciphers, like I remember Karate Joe battled Eminem over Lucy. Eminem wanted a cigarette. Karate Joe was like, "You gotta battle me to get it," and Karate
What?
Joe held him. It was on the corner of Houston and Broadway, right by the 88 Hip Hop. And
Oh my
yeah,
God, that was the core. That's where I first met Penn.
yes, yes,
That's where I
yes,
first met Penn. And I'll never forget it, because when something is epic, it's
yeah,
branded in your mind, right? Like,
yeah,
you could try to remember things in the same place, same time you won't. But if it's epic, I'll never forget. Penn told this dude was like, I'm shooting you in my 9, son. I got the thing. Penn just jumped out. He was like, and this is in the street, no stages, no premeditated, nothing.
yeah,
Just dudes out in the street, late, street lights on black, no police, thank God, around, because police always try to ruin things.
yeah,
Just us
yeah,
out there. You know what I mean? Someone was like, ah, da, da. Penn
yeah.
jumped back. He was like, you not intimidated.
Yo, I think I was there that night.
You were there. You were there. Or the corner house there in front of 88 Hip Hop, but
Yep.
yo, I didn't hear anything else for a month that nobody said. Because the way Penn was just like, you not intimidated. Like, people don't understand, it's not writing rhymes in advance. Like, it's a certain
No.
situation where it just comes to you. And if you say the thing that needs to be said in the moment, nobody gonna hear anything else the other dude says. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've done that before, and I've had it done to me. When it's done to you, it stings. So I feel for that brother. Man, you doing that
along
dude's
with
right.
Echo Minds, I gotta say Sound Minds to that.
Yeah, academic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Academic is in the building.
What up,
Breeze,
man?
my brother Breeze, B. Yo, you know what's
What's
dope,
good,
man? I
man?
gotta say, man, years of history, right? And it's funny
Mhm.
because y'all had, and we're gonna get into a lot of questions and all that, man. But y'all
Yeah.
had Stronghold, we had Sound Minds, we
Mhm.
rocked out numerous venues together, rocked out numerous ciphers, man.
Yeah.
Um, it's dope to see the ability to build with like-minded individuals, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, who different paths but the same train. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of dope to kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I'm listening to this album, man, and seeing things that you're doing, brother. And I think it's dope, man, to be able to have you on here and like they say, give flowers when well deserved. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta tell you, man, whenever anybody heard the name Breeze Evahflowin, dudes knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like they knew, yo, we gonna get 1,000% of this brother spitting. We gonna get straight up lyrics, and on top of that, we gonna get the mentality of never shave corners. Everything is gonna be straight and direct. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and I think that was a beautiful thing, man. The fact that you held down battles when truth of the matter is, no disrespect in what's going on now, but we're going to talk about that too. But you held down battles when battles were actually battles. You know what I'm saying? Like going off the head and
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
limited time, like it's different now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now, if me and Self are about to battle or me and Breeze about to battle, I got like a 6 month span to go figure out, do my research, do all types of yo, man. I found out his aunt is in the hospital. I found out his aunt is selling crack. Like, you know what I mean? Now I'm throwing this all out, but you was doing it at a time where it was like, yo, you got 30 seconds. Anything in front of you right now is what you got to spit. And on top of that,
Yeah.
you was doing it without any well, on the MTVs and the other shows, you were doing it without any type of vulgarity because you couldn't even curse at that time. You know what I mean? Now the Blaze battles and all that was crazy because you could go off the head and do whatever you want. But the fact that you was limited and still came off, man, that laying on your
With,
back,
And
every
with
MC is
mad
whack. Like I
skills.
still remember that. You know what I
I'm
mean?
talking
So
with mad skills. All right. Shout out to Mad Skills. Shout out to DJ
mhm.
Jazzy Jeff. Two
Yeah.
of the most underrated lyricists, songwriters, ghostwriters, producers, DJs in the game. Check all their stuff. It's fire. That being said, I remember Mad Skills had a crew called the Super Friends. And it was
Mhm.
like, it was a dude, I think his name was Lonnie B, but he was like the main battle rapper. They had an ill crew, the Super Friends. Like they was from that area, like the DMV, Richmond, like you know what I mean, DC, that whole area down there, Timberland area. And
Mhm.
and I just seen my brother Breeze, like, you know what I mean? Because Breeze was in the hood. Like I would see him in the LES. So it's like your man, and then you see him with all these celebrities just slapping him. But like all I could say, see, this is I got a part in my crowd tonight because I'm talking about exactly Virginia. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a part in my crowd tonight because there's certain things that I do not have time to explain to y'all tonight that I'm building with my brother right now, and it's so refreshing because again, y'all be on blogs and everything and talking about how people wrote things for 3 months and the back history and this and that. You don't even understand the magnanimous blessing of somebody being in a battle and just saying something that wasn't said before, and it's perfect, and that's what you looking for in the battle. Like you don't know you looking for it, but when you in these situations in the street
Mhm.
over and over, you realize that's what you looking for. You looking for that thing you didn't know you was gonna say. Nobody knew you was gonna say. And so his Mad Skills, the Super Friends, they killing it. They coming up in the industry, and it's my homie Breeze. And I'm like, damn, Breeze, what you gonna do this time, Breeze? Like, damn, you my homie. These cats is nice. He said, now mind you, they call it the Super Friends. I never forgot this either. I don't have to Google it or Wikipedia. He said, yo, something, you not the man. You like the weakest dude in your crew, like Aquaman.
you know, I love that last comment where they said, man, you had to be there. because
Right.
we got stories. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that
Because Aquaman was the weakest in the crew. He was weaker than Superman, bro. He
exactly.
was weaker than Wonder Man. But they was really going to self-defense.
Yo, Kaim is crying. That's off his crying. That's the first. Yeah, nah, you're right though, man. You had to be there.
Some of the most epic mind-blowing moments. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I'm not gonna keep doing this because I know that the whole crowd not gonna get this. I'm gonna make it a professional question. When you in these moments, all right, seriously, when you in these moments, like Penn saying you not intimidating, when you say it and you in the flow state, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long after do you realize that you just said that statement that ended the whole battle? Like, do you realize in the moment, or was you a lot of times just in a zone where you had to realize later?
Yeah, because back then you couldn't pause.
No.
Like now you can pause and compose yourself and gather your thoughts
and hear the crowd, taking the energy from the crowd.
Exactly, right. Back then you couldn't stop. The beat was going to keep going. And so, yeah, you realized it after the fact. So I remember I still spit, like I freestyled like 2 more bars after that nobody heard. And I had a backup haymaker just in case tucked in there. If the first one didn't land right. But as you running through it, it's like you're trying to just hold on to the rails. Like it's like, you know, like literally like bull riding. Like it's wild, right? And you're trying to hold on to that beat, and you get your thoughts lined up and synced up with the beat. And you want that punchline to land, so you got to set it up just right.
So
and I remember I almost lost that
one
because beat, and I had to jump back on.
Is there, when you first develop in the process, is it annoying? Like, because the best thing we would think you want is the crowd going crazy. But when you freestyling and coming up with ill bars and nobody hears it, that gotta be kind of annoying too. Like, what's the balance there?
Nah, and here's the thing, right? Like full disclosure for tonight, and you know anybody who might not have realized it, like there was almost a formula to the battle game, right? And for me, it was always like a 3-0 formula. Like if you can get 3 O's in a verse, like the odds are you won that round, and you could be dropping some nonsense in between them O's. But if you get those 3 O's, it magnifies the verse. That crowd energy just kind of like plays into the voting. And so I wrote rhymes for that. And that's why they didn't translate well into songs back then, because I was writing bars just so I can lead up to those moments. So for me, it was like I'm trying to compose the moment there to lead up to these peaks so I can get these emotional highs and get through these things, right? And then trying to do that while freestyling, it's like walking on stage with a bag of potential punchlines.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where you could drop those in.
Right.
They're going to have the most bang for the buck. So like
that brings me to a question. That brings me to a question. Like at that time, or were you in a battle in yourself between being a battle rapper and a songwriter? Like when did you consider yourself a songwriter, and when did you just say I'm a battle rapper, or go with more of what you were branded as, or what they looked at you as? And when was that time specifically too? Because I do after this want to get into a clip of you.
1997.
Okay.
It was I actually started more focused as a songwriter, right? And I was developed as a songwriter. I was working with Sound Plus Rhythm Studios up in the Bronx, in Castle Hill, and that's where I came up. I started rhyming with them in like 92. I was like 21, 22. I would go up to my man Cassius Clay Mack's house, and Cassius Clay Mack would make like straight boom bap bangers, like. And so he would teach me song structure and, you know, the 16/8 structure. Sometimes we build in a little bridge, like we did like straight formula hip hop, like right out of 92, 93 era. And then we managed to get the single Forsaken out. And that was like the first song that I had that that got some airplay, and we pressed the wax, and it got on a few more radio shows at that time. And then around that time, I jumped on the Mic Check show with the Furious Five on Hot 97 in 95. So things were looking good. I felt like things was on the way up. Popped off from that, jumped in with something with this other group called Hypodermic Needles. Got on some more wax. They put up posters all over the city. So I had the Hot 97 thing, and then that thing. And then like towards the end of 97, going into 98, the star starts to fade. And I'm like, man, I'm not getting enough attention. And the ego grows, the star fades. Here's this 27-year-old at the time. 27. Facing 30, thinking that I'm not getting what I deserve. I broke off from Sound Plus Rhythm Records like a numbskull, because Sean Prez went on to work for Puffy and run his promotions over there. My man Cassius Clay Mack dropped the beat on Biggie's album, but here's my pride. Like, nah, y'all ain't
feel like you missing out.
Exactly. Y'all ain't doing. You ain't putting me to the front. Who is this other guy you trying to push now? Like, I just didn't get it.
So was it at this time, like even before 97, from the 92 to 97, was this you looking at yourself as a songwriter with the battle rap freestyle in your back pocket that you did every now and then?
Yes.
Okay, and then that 98 time was time to let me pull that out the back pocket. And,
yeah.
Okay.
But I went so far in. like I said, that's where it got to the science of it, right? Like where I was like, all right, now I'm just gonna figure out how to win battles.
Bet.
And
wait, so this is part of this idea of hip hop as a culture and lifestyle versus something you do, because from a young man's perspective, things ain't working out for me, right? But now that we looking at the whole formula in hindsight, and we got kids and we see them go through their things and knowing it's not going to be that bad, but you realize that none of the legend, as far as the legend that people talk about of Breez, like Breez is listed in comic books and like best of lists and like document. Like I've seen so many things that I haven't even seen in him. I've seen so many things, like he's legendary in so many places. None of that legend was even sparked yet. That was like, you gave us the origin story. Like, we'll get into the comic books in a second. You gave us the origin, like none of that was sparked yet. When you was like, oh man, it's ending, like it's over. Like, so it's almost like that hip hop ethos of like embracing the conflict, embracing hard times, and
embracing the process. And embracing the process, because you're shining light literally on the process of a hip hop career, and that's what I'm grateful, definitely grateful of. I want to segue though into a clip real quick that highlights you being. It's like, I don't know if we can say it's a peak time for this, because this is on Sway, MTV. You know what I'm saying? You a champion out there. You know what I'm saying? Just to let the listeners know who we really dealing with right now. You know what I'm saying? When you know how Sway give those breakdowns of somebody. You know what I'm saying? You got to catch one of them Sway breakdowns, and my brother got a Sway breakdown of introduction of himself.
If you ever wonder why Sway's so hard on people and making them hyenas, this is one of the dudes.
Here we go. Right here. He say it right here. The mute, y'all.
Now, the champion slaughtered 5 MCs 5 weeks in a row. No contest. I'm not going to say much about him. I'm going to let his work speak for itself. Matter of fact, check this out. Check it. Breez Evahflowin, stronghold dog on it. DFX, I came to brag on it. Check it out, John. You ain't swing things right. Ding ding fight. Now watch me rock the ice off this bling bling mic. You know the MO, no problemo. You couldn't win it, flex, drop the bomb on your demo. Capital C as in crazy. You couldn't rock if your La Familia was Jay-Z. It's like I have to attack you. Your name is Hamas, and how many times I gotta smack you? ain't repping it right. Y'all be the first two in the source to catch negative mics. It's getting ugly in here. You descend from Cleopatra. Now act like a queen instead of looking like some Black Tail magazine.
We got Breez Evahflowin in the building, family.
You know what's crazy? Breez, I'm pretty sure you remember this, brother. Fam, that battle that you was about to get into right there, I think the kid's name was E-Dub, right? Or Dub E.
Yeah, E-Dub, yeah.
Breez, you know what I love about that battle, B? You let fam, he ran around and did what he did. You did what you did. Second round, you stared at this dude, knowing that time is not on your side. Stared at him, took his soul, and just straight disrespected him. Now, at that time, he was feeling himself off a record deal that he had signed to. So fam was already thinking like, yo, I got one up on you because I'm already signed and you not. You looked at him, and there was a moment there where I thought somebody was going to slap something. I thought somebody was going to grab each other. Yo, it looked like you looked at his eyelids, inside his eyeballs, into his soul, and decided, yeah, we just going to ruin your whole career right now. Shout out to you for that one, B. Because the way you did that, man, the way you just, and it looked like everything in your Rolodex just started spinning. And he was like, yeah, watch me now grab your neck up on this one. So you are the epitome of what hip-hop freestyle battle was. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta ask you, man.
It was, man.
It was at a pinnacle.
Champion, right? For 5 weeks in a row. Okay, and you won that champion battle right there for like the overall championship, right?
Yeah, it was like a rematch from Blaze battle. We were supposed to get into it at the Blaze Grand Championship, and then that got canceled, so we never got to mix it up at that one.
You got retired after that, though, right?
Wasn't Big Zoo in one of them?
He got the championship from Big Zoo.
Okay.
Shout out to Big Zoo and ELW.
Shout out to all the other artists.
That wasn't in the clip you just played, though,
no, that was
right?
just a clip of overall. His
I'm just remembering that off my memory.
Just the overall, just to let him know that was the end.
Be on the show.
Talk to him.
Because I remember, and Colin, I don't know if you got the call at that time either, but I was hollering at heads to come to the Viacom, the freestyle. Because my man who worked there was like, yo, they trying to experiment with MC battles, you know, you bring some heads through. And so I bought I just put out a call to a bunch of people. If I didn't call, you'll forgive me, please. It was like last minute. I was reaching out to everybody.
It was. I already know. It was a few things going. Like it was hooked. Remember?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. It was a number of things where I hadn't really. It wasn't like how people see now with Smack, but people was like, it's so crazy. How do we capitalize? So I feel you. I don't remember that call, but I remember it was a lot of different projects.
There was a lot of things going on. Yeah. So that was one of those like, yo, just come through and see what happens kind of moments. I bought all these dudes through and they picked Zoo, they picked Penn to go on. And then finally they got to a point where they were like, Zoo's not losing. And Viacom's not on that, you know, having the same thing week after week. Like back then they had to have something new every 5 seconds up on the TV set to keep the kids hooked. That was their model, right? And so my man called me like, yo, no one's beating him. Like, you think you can come down?
Yo.
And that's
right there. Like, hold on. We can't go past this point.
Don't go past this point because I have it queued up. I have it queued up for that moment specifically because I'm so glad you alley-oop to this cue too. Like you did it perfectly.
We can't gloss over this.
We're not gonna gloss over it. I need you to now go into this moment of now being brought up there, and for this to actually happen. Y'all gotta make sure y'all do y'all research. Go to YouTube, look up Breez Evahflowin.
And this was one of the battles that you got him this opportunity in the first place because you was trying to help other MCs get opportunities, but like it got to a fever point where it was like we need you.
Wow, I cannot believe that's the backstory of this because
we need
it makes so much sense.
You
Wait,
was
now,
the deep state of MCing. They was like,
wait.
we can't get the regular military on this one, Breeze.
Now it makes so much sense of how he passed over the mic. Everybody, pay attention. Pay
What's on that
attention.
shirt? Look at this shirt.
Hey,
White or red?
With the white.
Oh, new champ! New champ! New champ! Breez Evahflowin! Can you please,
called me out there.
hand over the microphone? Please hand over the microphone.
Yo,
to
let me
Breez
say
Evahflowin.
something. Let me say something. This is a true MC. I'm gonna pass it on to my man, Breez Evahflowin.
All right, yeah, brand new champ.
That's a moment
Fire.
right there, my brother. That's such a moment right there.
He already
And you're
knew.
and you, in
Shout
a
out to Big
sense,
Zoo.
yes,
Yeah,
a
man.
great moment. Yes,
Yeah.
a great moment right there. And that moment was you, like you said, being called. Hold up, saying, yo, ain't nobody beating on. We need somebody. We need you. You know what I mean? And y'all already knew each other on the back end. You feel me? And so that whole, this is a true MC right here. Passing the mic to you was, now I see how much of an honor it was. You know what I mean? Number
Because
one.
when you lose to somebody that's whack and they was at their wackest, it's a horrible feeling. You know, when you lose to somebody that's nice and they on point, it's like it's
Right.
it's like winning.
Yes.
It's like winning.
Right. It took
You
the
know?
best to take you out. So that within itself is an honor. You know what I mean? So Breeze, I gotta ask you, man, growing up, when you first
Well, can you walk us through that moment first?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I do want to know that time of feeling the feeling that you had winning the battle on a national platform like MTV with Sway and Funk Flex as the DJ, everybody there. You know what I'm saying? Let walk us through that moment after getting that phone call, then
Yeah, I
going up
remember
there.
seeing Flex on that too, and knowing him. It's funny when you see DJs that you know them for one thing, but you know they not in certain parts of the culture, and you watching them see your peoples. That's a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I know, man. It was weird, man, and surreal because that was the biggest platform up until that point that I'd had, and I was fortunate to have been given some significant platforms before that, but nothing compared to that one, right? Like I was walking out in the streets in Times Square to go to the studio for the recordings, and people would be like, "Breeze, get him! No, you're gonna kill him today, Breeze!" Like it was that. Like I was like, "Oh, it's like movie stuff, right?"
Feel like you made it.
In little ways, yeah. And of course it gets worse because again, it was young. I was very susceptible to my ego, and it ended up unraveling towards the end as it did, and that was a pattern that I also recognized early on through my career, right? But in the moment there, what was cool was that I had already had so much respect for Zoo that there was no way I was going to get on TV and disrespect him. So we wasn't getting at each other with those verses. We was just freestyling out into the universe just to see what would happen and what would come back from it, right? And honestly, I just think because I was just a fresh sound and they hadn't heard me yet, and they had heard Zoo, for a few weeks already. Like I think it was just that was the differentiator right there. So in that moment, like I was thankful. I was really happy that DJ Premier was the one who judged that one, and gave DAP to Zoo and gave DAP to me. But it was the start of a really interesting a time on Viacom over there.
That I mean, for the most part too, man. When you think about it, right? And let's speak on it. At that time, hip hop was kind of in a sense. And shout out to Academics. He was talking about a battle he had, man. I had battled a kid, one of my kids that I put through hip hop. I had a hip hop summer camp that I was doing. Battled him the whole time. He was like, "Yo, I want to battle you, Light." I was like, "Yo, be easy, youngin." Then I killed him, and then he battled Academics the week later or something like that, and he beat Academics because he was a kid. But the craziness of at that time, the beauty was hip hop was kind of categorized, and shout out, like Boot Camp Click was one sound. Then you had the bad boy sound. Then you had different categories, whereas at that time, Stronghold, EOW, SoundMinds, various other crews, Writers Guild, everybody, we were known as, oh, those are those backpack underground rappers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Talk to me.
which is funny because then you have Flex as a judge, and Flex knew nothing about the underground. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him for his career of hip hop and everything he's done being from the Bronx. But
that's what I wanted to say real quick. Like we was all super fans of Flex because people today don't even realize it wasn't no Hot 97 home of hip hop. It was like the home of Latin freestyle. It was like, girl, you broke my heart in pieces and you put it on the floor. That's what it was, the home of. So Flex, DJ Red Alert, like these cats was representing our culture heavy for what they was doing. So it's like seeing somebody you super duper respect in one sense, but they knowing, bruh, you don't know about this right here. This is not a joke. Like we out in the street at 4 a.m. without the police.
Segue into the next you just segue into a great clip with what you're saying right now. You know what I'm saying? What you're saying right now, you just segue into a great clip. You can literally you can follow it up.
As Rashawn,
I want you to follow it up with it. I want you to follow up. You know what I mean?
But hold on, before you put that clip, I'm gonna be real with you. I was tight when my man Breez, you done killed beheaded MCs and was offered shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like Funkmaster Flex. I said, yo, man.
Hold on.
Yeah, my fault.
Don't jump it. Hold on. Wait, we getting too hot early. I got a good clip that can set it off. Let's go right now. Let's go. Because it really is a great clip to segue into this. Shout out to Breez, man. Because on the second week coming back, this is what he had to say when asked. Okay, I'm gonna read this the way that I said. So now after the first win, you came back and the host asked you, yo, so how has it been since the win? Any labels called you? Pretty much what happened since your first win? And your answer, paraphrasing, Stronghold is moving. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Hey, hold up. We gonna get into this one right here. Play the clip.
These are the contenders. Now, we got the champion. If you don't know who the champion is, I ain't gonna tell you nothing about it. I'm just gonna let you watch this. Watch this right here.
Check it. Breez Evahflowin, Stronghold, doggone it. DFX, I came to brag on it. New jam, Breez Evahflowin.
He got on and he was off the glass. I mean, he was kicking it so real.
Real MCs on MTV.
I work on hip hop 24 hours. I'm battling to prove a point. I want to move some units. I want to sell some records. I want to get my music out there. We got good music.
That goes out to your whole damn crew who never heard a rhyme the way that I do.
As long as I need to, I'm going to keep battling. Most of y'all can't rock live anyway. I said it, and I'll see you on stage if you want to do something about it.
That's right. He beat the first ever DFX champ, Big Zoo, coming to the stage to hold down his title. Please give it up for Breez Evahflowin.
Yeah.
What's up, champ?
Feeling good.
You ready,
no
man?
doubt.
You ready?
Most definitely.
All right, now,
Happy New Year.
Same to you, bro.
No doubt, brother.
Let me ask you, any labels call you? Anybody call you? Anybody see you on the street? What happened since you won?
No Stronghold, Detonator. We running around. We still doing our thing. This is independent hip hop right here.
That's what I'm talking about.
We hustling. We
You
working.
still hustling.
We working.
Forget
Yeah.
them big people. We got
They gotta come right.
I got you. Easy, baby. See, yeah, all right, hey, Flex got you.
What? Hold up.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Hold up.
Perfect
Hold up.
example.
Yo, shout out to Breez for the realest answer on the national live television show. Independent, you heard?
Hold up.
Listen.
No, sir. And the truth of the matter is that goes back to what I was saying, where we was all categorized in certain. Then Raucus came out. Then there was like, okay, I don't know how you feel, Breeze. You can speak on it if you want. Raucus came out. I said, yo, that's heaven. That's heaven right there, because they allowed people to really build off a skill level and talent. And it wasn't about commercialism. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't have to put no shiny suits on nobody to sell units. It was about, yo, let's see who's the illest. They came out with the Lyricist Lounge and all that. And those, I got to ask you, brother, how did you feel at that time, during that time? And the fact that, like, Rashaman just put in.
Especially when he said that.
Yeah, because Flex is talking about, hold on. His response was really about, yo, you ain't asking us, the major labels, or the major labels to co-sign. You saying Stronghold is moving, Detonator's moving. We good.
Basically that.
Right.
That's basically what you was saying. And he was like, oh, this is different.
So how did you feel? How did you feel, my brother? And was there any back end conversation after that is what we need to know.
You know, he was an interesting dude, to say the least, right? Like, I was definitely very low on his list of priorities as far as like interactions were concerned. So like he would literally only talk to me when the cameras were on, and like literally look away into space when the cameras are off. So when we had to do those little setup things between commercials, and they'd like prop me next to him, and then they'd be like, all right, we'll be right back with another episode of DFX, right? And I'd be sitting there like, yeah. But while we waited for the camera to come on, like he just zoned out. Like I didn't exist, right? It was that vibe all the way. But I definitely felt the animosity. He was taking like shots on Hot 97, talking about how much he missed Big Zoo, because he was loving Zoo. He loved Zoo, and why not? Zoo's awesome. Like I love Zoo. But he didn't like that I took Zoo out while he was out and Primo was guest hosting. So he didn't feel that Primo made the right call, right? So out the gate, there was already like a little something, and it wasn't anything real. Like it was just like he just wasn't trying to hear it. He wasn't trying to hear that independent hip hop.
Is Zoo from the BX or something?
Nah,
I think Zoo was from the X, isn't he?
Originally.
Is he?
Somebody need to hit us up on online right now on one of these sources. No.
Somebody let us know.
Somebody let us know.
I don't know what, because it was clear. Like that's the other thing too, that when battles did start getting commercialized, for a while it was like, okay, this person won and this person won. And then it got back to a lot of these gems that we noticed in the street battles, which was just like, you knew when somebody won. There was no need to vote or tally up things. Exactly. It was like either it wasn't a clear win, which means it wasn't a clear win, or you didn't. Yeah. Now, sometimes if it happened in the venue, shout out to Saya Yeshua, We Be Fuller, shout out to Bragging Rights, shout out to Penn, you know what I mean? Yep. If it wasn't in the street and it was in the venues early on, like you saying, things was just bubbling up before it was, you would run it back. And I remember one night I ran it back with like 3 rounds. I remember one time your boy C. Ray's Walls from Stronghold ran it back with my man Super Nat.
Oh, you in the middle that night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was legendary.
Oh my goodness. 5 times overtime?
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't even a MC contest anymore. It was like the Clash of the Titans.
They were because it got they went to another level. Like they were literally feeding each other lines at a certain point. Like it just was ridiculous. It was
But you say feeding lines because if you don't know who Supernat and C-Rays, you got to do your research. But Supernat had this one thing where he like, I'll take the soul of Biggie, and he'll do different voices, right? So he says something about he did a voice. C-Rays came back and did a voice.
Yeah.
He said, I'm Neo in the Matrix. C-Rays was like, I'm Morpheus in the Matrix. You remember that?
He said, I was the dude who jumped out of the helicopter and saved you. Like, he flipped that in first.
Bars. Bars.
It went. All I'm saying is this: it went to like 5 times overtime. So
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
either you had a clear win back then, or it was like you ran it back. But it was like it. You get the point.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. So that's why it's interesting coming back to this pivotal moment. You know, Breeze clearly had the win. Zoo felt the win, and he was glad to lose to somebody who really beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, why you think he did that on the when he said independent? You know what I mean? Why do you think he had to say whoa, whoa, whoa? Like that was the moment that he actually backed you up on what you were saying. Like, hey, hold on, wait. You know what I mean? Like that was this is you speaking as an independent artist, repping the underground at a time where everybody was fighting to get a record deal. That to get a record deal was the thing to do.
It was.
So that was going against the grain early. You know what I mean? And now fast forward and 2020, independent is what it is. Like the record deals got to come to us now because we can do everything on our own now.
Yeah.
You know, so like you were doing that already. So for him to even tell you whoa, but you was already 20 years ahead or 10 years ahead, you know, what would that feel like?
Man, it definitely, you know, I walked in there with a lot of animosity towards him, you know. Like
Gotcha.
I remember, like, you know, we handed him, you know, copies of the vinyl, but we knew, you know, he wasn't gonna touch him or do anything with him, right? Like he just took it and didn't even look us in the face. Like it's like it was that kind of vibe, right? And so I just started reciprocating that same coldness, right? Because that's just how I came up. Like no matter who you are, like my mom's wasn't about to be disrespected by no one. I wasn't gonna be disrespected by Flex in that moment neither. It's like whatever, dude. Like do you? But you know what stood out to me though is those moments in between when the cameras weren't on, right? Because when the cameras were on, like he seemed to spin some real like ABC blends. Like it was super simple and easy for people to digest. When the cameras went off, Flex would go off on the tables and start doing some like techniques and like, you know, real precision, like turntablism, right? Like, so he came from that. And at some point, something set him in another direction. The on-camera Flex was something that he was maintaining. And for where he was in his life, like that might have been just what he needed to do to feed him and his and whatever it was, right? He made that decision at that moment. He was like, this is who I'm going to be going forward. And this is how I'm going to get off, right? But when that camera went off, like he was doing things that you weren't hearing on Hot 97 and you weren't seeing on the camera. So
Yo, that's so gracious of you to notice that in the midst of realizing that he wasn't your meal ticket or he wasn't giving you the easy cosign. It's like you almost could see. It's like we try to teach our students we mentor now, you know what I mean, and our children now. It's like, yo, I'm trying to teach you something that can't be given to you. So even in that moment, it seems like he was dropping little hints like, bro, you got the talent. I'm not checking you on the talent. I do my thing over here too. I'm checking you on if you understand this process of being able to balance the talent with this whole industry. And let me say 2 things. One, you already knew about being checked. How many times have somebody like, I rock with a bigger star, I'm opening, or I just happen to be on the showcase, and I'm like salute, and they just fading me, they waving me off, and then once I come on stage or jump on stage on the way out, they like, yo!
Facts.
And people want to say like that's fake. It's not fake. It's real.
Yeah.
Fake is if they do that at first. Real is when they let you know, I don't rock with you. I don't know you. I know what I do. I know where I'm here. And then when you get off, they give you that salute. To me, that's real. I get it. You know what I mean? I'm like joke with them later, like you try to sleep on me, but that lets you know you're doing your work. Am I right?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Hey,
man.
would that be said that you've never been on the Fun Flex show?
What's that?
Have you ever been on a Fun Flex show?
Nah. Never that. I was not getting that.
Damn fool.
You wasn't getting that invite.
But you know what's crazy though, man, and it kind of speaks to the culture, right? The beauty of the culture has been one of which that has empowered so many of us, You know what I'm saying? Like the creation of hip hop, the inception of hip hop has been based off of telling stories, but then it became skills and talent. And then the dilution of hip hop became rap, where it became, yo, we can commercialize this and we're gonna make money off of that. What you probably saw was more so the creation of Flex being from the hip hop culture, but like you said, the names on your
Going
checks
mainstream.
tell you different. They
Yeah,
tell
going
you,
mainstream.
nah, you gotta spend just the commercialized versions of what hip hop is. You know what I'm saying? So the hate and that saltiness that you probably saw, because there was a couple of times he made comments on TV where he was like, yo, he's smelling, he's feeling himself. And I'm like, yo, why shouldn't he be though? He's demolishing everybody you put up there. You know what I'm saying? So and I gotta ask you, Breeze, with that being said, sideline question, who was your favorite MC ever, man?
All-time favorite?
All time.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, the man on the wall up here, I got a painting of Big Daddy Kane on vinyl.
Okay.
All time, all around, maybe not, but as far as like formative years and what really broke through and resonated with me as far as another MC, it was Kane. Kane's references were all over the place. He had like the cool, smooth brother, and as a 16, 17-year-old, like you in high school, like that, you wanted to be that cool, smooth brother, but he was smart, he was intellectual, he was revolutionary. He covered a lot of different facets, and his wit was what really got me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he would drop these punchlines, and the way that he would set up his rhymes, and everything about it just kind of pulled me into this.
That makes so much sense, you saying that, because that's right. He was so many different things. And once you've been working around so many different artists and culture, you get like these behind the scenes stories that nobody doesn't know. But like one thing that I know is that behind the scenes, Kane was cool with everybody. Like he was even cool. Like he's like me in that sense. Like, how I always been, this person got beef, that person got beef. One of them tend to contact me. I see what I could do. People don't realize Kane was like that same way. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense for you to say that because you so multifaceted with your style. You know what I'm saying? I almost feel like even say Flex, not to keep going on this moment, but I almost feel like now knowing the backstory, it makes even more sense because you was kind of seeing Flex as a representation of what you was going through because you was battling in the first place because you was trying to put out music that your peoples is going in the industry, and you was like, all right, now I gotta go this battle route. Then you go to the battle route, and boom, here's somebody saying, even in this lane, you gotta do it in the box and do it step by step, right?
Yep. And I was everywhere, and I wasn't trying to hear any of that. I just wanted to do it my own way on my own terms. And so I was always at odds with the industry on all different levels. Went on the TV route, I'm at odds with the TV. I remember even when I worked as a producer, I had a little stint doing producing hip hop content for like one of those internet platforms around that hook.com time. I was with Urban Box Office, and I was killing it. I was producing more content than anybody else on the team I was working with, right? And had everybody involved helping out and doing stuff for me. And we was creating like little short clips called the Flow Down, where we were going to show like 1 minute to people. This was pre-Instagram, pre any of that. And we had like 1 minute clips of MCs, like about 20 or 30 lined up with professional production. Like I was going for it. But again, it was that same indie mindset, right? Like I wasn't there to schmooze. I wasn't there to be like, you're cool, I'm cool, so let's get ahead and be cutthroat. Like that was not my vibe. And so I remember one time coming back to my desk and finding a Post-it stuck to my screen that said, humble thyself. And I've never forgotten that. Soon afterwards, the whole internet thing crashed. And sure enough, most of those people that I was rocking with, I did not rock with anymore after that. And that was part that indie mindset, right? Like, I got this. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna rock. And if you're a real one, you're gonna rock with me. But for the most part, it was a very political organization, as most are, a very industry-like organization. And the mindset of those industry people was something that I could never really vibe with.
Question with
But it's like
that.
that stuff right there. That
Question
yeah.
with that. A follow-up question to that. After now that you've hit this large platform like MTV, you know what I mean? We're talking about, you know, being in front of Sway, you know, or Fun Flex and other celebrities, and just the exposure alone. How did that take off your career, or how did that connect you to people in the industry moving forward? Even though you had this sense of independence, did you still utilize connections to the industry is what I'm saying.
I tried to the best of my ability for those who were interested, right? But I think like what it did was with Detonator Records was here was a brother up in Boston who wanted to invest in some brothers who were rapping, and he was very much thinking about the heat. And now this brother, we called him Governor Pete. He was an interesting dude, right? He was hood, left street life, and wanted to invest in something, right? And he saw these positive brothers that he could put some money into and put out some records. So he started with Acrobatic. He was putting out records with Acrobatic, and then they saw me do the Blaze battle, and he was like, "Yo, come up to Boston, let's build." And then he was ready to put some money, put me in the studio, and then put out some records for me too. And so we used Detonator Records to get content out there to people. And he had me, he had Act, he was putting out some stuff for C-Rays too. He had this Asian brother by the name of Chan. And that was like his little crew that he was starting up. But Pete was also very conscious of, you know, the white rappers that were popping off in that scene also. And, you know, he was conscious of the reactions that they were getting. And so he had us syncing up with them at a lot of the venues up in Boston so that we can, you know, siphon off that crowd and get some of that love. But that's just a whole interesting thing that when you look at that over the span of time and how some of those people have continued to thrive while most of the people of color from Boston did not. It really spoke to how deeply were we resonating with these young white college men, where they continued to follow the white guys from that scene, but they didn't really follow the brothers that much after that.
Yep.
And the brothers stayed sharp, and the brothers are still nice to this day.
Even though they were very accepting for you to be there, perform, do your I'm talking about they gave nothing but love while you were there. I agree. I was gonna say, like, were they very accepting?
And they
yes,
ate up that MTV stuff too. So that was like an easy in for those venues and those spots that we used to go around the country and rock. Like MTV would be on the bill. We put it on the flyers. Like we leveraged all of that to try to open as many doors as possible. But it was just very different
to the battle thing as well. So I mean, I guess it's that time in the podcast to get back to this, leaving battling. And you've already segued to this, so I don't feel like I'm forcing it. Leaving battling. I'm not trying to talk about this in a chronological, like Breez did this and then he did that. I'm trying to talk about it in an understanding way.
Yeah.
It's clear to me, and my brothers on here and Rasham, and tell me if I'm wrong. Y'all hit me up in the chat too if I'm wrong. But I think it's clear to everybody that there's definitely some mental health issues concerned from the beginning of trying to be an artist in a way where your art needs to be proven to other people to tell you if it's dope. If you get that O, if you get the 2 O's but not the 3 O's, you know what I mean? If this channel likes you, if they like you, but they don't think you're gonna be presentable or marketable, all these things. And what it means is this takes a toll on us psychologically. That's why, like, I still love battles. I battle when people sleep on me. Like if someone's in my show and they try to jump on and play me, it's a bad day for them. You know what I mean? Because I came up with y'all, and it's not even like I enjoy that. It's like a guilty pleasure. I love when people try to hijack my show and then they find out like I'm not just a positive rapper, you know what I mean? Like, because it's the best moment in a battle is when something is unexpected and it's sad. And that's basically what happens. When someone try to interrupt your show and you being gracious and kind and you slap them horribly and they have nothing, they can't, and their own boys is like, chill, son. They, you know what I mean? It's the worst. So it's almost like for those who is heavily in battles, you will never know the best joy of a battle until you stop battling. Because the best comeback is when you're not even trying to battle and you got to slap someone. That being said, right? When you always have your mind on this conflict mindset, that has to take a toll on people, you know. You touched on, like we were saying, the goal is to get a record deal and everything. I mean, I was offered a dope record deal. Def Jam was considered like the greatest thing in the world. But part of it, like, it's complex. I'm not gonna simplify it, but part of it wasn't raucous. You know what I mean? Everything was a conflict in that mindset. It was like, I want to get signed, but I don't want to be commercial. You know what I mean? If you was battling out in the street, you knew that you might be responsible for somebody to get hurt, because if you
take
really,
heads off.
if you really touch somebody, like, the point is to really touch somebody. If they nice and you nice, you want to really hit them right here to make them be like, yo, that was too much. You know what I mean? And then it's not necessarily me and you, but your boys and my boys. You know what I mean? And then you feel responsible for your people getting into something. And then just walking around putting your mind disproportionately on destruction. You know what I mean? A certain balance of building and destroying we go through every day. But it's like in a certain mindset where you put disproportionately on destruction, and then the very fans that you're doing that for, they're not necessarily concerned with your career as much as it is those
That's
next
the commercial. Shout out to Cigar. That's the commercial juju.
Right.
So let's just really go there, man. I say all of that to really give you permission and space to talk about the mental health aspect of it. With those who are getting into the culture, you know what I mean? With those who are spending 6 months on preparing for battles now and being in a mind frame of having an opponent. Please talk about the unhealthiness of it. Because we talked about the health aspects. It's good competition. It keeps you on your toes. But let's talk about that part of it.
Let me do one thing really quick. My live just ended. I'm gonna save it because this is definitely, hopefully, if it's cool with y'all, worth sharing with others.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
because this is amazing dialogue right here. But I'll go back to
you want to give yourself time to get back on the live?
When you was giving me, love for E-Dub, right? And the way that I got at him and the way that I cut him down, that was when I was at peak destructive capacity as a battler, right?
What was that? 5-6 wins in?
It was 5 or 6 wins in, but it was more than that. It was what I had developed with the craft.
Right? All the way up to the peak. This is your peak point.
Looking him in the eye was another part of the tactic, because again, we both had an unspoken contract, and we knew that this could alter our lives in one way, shape, or form from stepping into that. It's very much like boxing or any type of physical combat, right? When you step into that arena, you can have lasting impacts from stepping into that sport. For me, with battling, I'm very good at understanding and reading people. Like it's a trait that I've leveraged for work later on in life to help me out. But in those moments, like, I would be looking for ways to cut down confidence. I wanted to undercut you for who you are, and I wanted to get personal in a way that even if I lost, you were wounded from this encounter. And that's why the few people that might have beaten me, I didn't hear or see much more from them later on. And I have regrets for what I might have done or have said in that moment to have exposed something that people might not have been thinking about them. So as I'm
you stopped their career.
I'm saying, like, certain things you can't unsee, right? You can't unsee those things. You can't unhear them. And when I point those things out in those moments, like, I'm putting that those features or those flaws on blast, and I had very little parameters as far as things that I would consider off limits. There were people that I considered off limits, but if you weren't one of those people, then nothing was off limits in what I was going to say to you in that moment. Although I wouldn't just pull in random people next to you who weren't involved, I would keep it focused on you, and whatever I could say about you to belittle you and to bring you down and interrupt your confidence, because a big portion of the battle was the confidence. So if I can undercut another man's confidence, and shake him at his core and his foundation, and it was going to make it that much easier for me to win that battle. And mentally,
Yeah,
that,
man.
like
you talking.
I
hope y'all listening,
you
because
know,
this is just straight truth. This is no exaggeration.
yeah.
Wait, before you go on though, that's for people who understand that. That's how amazing it was when you and Big Zoo did battle each other in that biggest form, with those stakes being so high. You know what I mean? Because I remember being at a point where it's like I needed to really like want to do that. Like I wanted to like want to get you back to battle you. So I didn't want to battle people that I just had love for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I would sometimes, but it would just be like if we were sparring on the
Yeah.
block. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I wasn't gonna pull that inner energy from you.
No, we be playing like we be. That's when you keep it like to what the person's wearing and just keep it light, right? But if it wasn't
Right.
love, if it wasn't somebody in your cipher, then it was like, all right, then I need to prove my dominance in this situation right now, and I know what this is going to do for me if I win, like what it's going to do for my reputation, my status in the moment. And status was very important because I really didn't have anything else. I had no source of wealth. I had no real like major source of income. The one time I was able to taste a little bit of bread, that all fell apart after the internet crash. And then 9/11 came soon after that. And essentially a few years later, I was homeless without even really realizing that, you know, and still stepping in those battles. And the lower I got personally, the harder I was going to hit and the more I was going to throw out. But then it started getting to a point where, you know, the punchlines, the flows, everything was starting to get a little desperate because I was in a situation. And I think that was what was time
there's certain times where you know you could say something that you'll just win if you say that, but it's not you.
No.
And that's what Breeze is talking about. I definitely understand what you're saying, brother.
It also sounds like there was a high that you were chasing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know that.
Oh yeah.
Especially industry wise, there's like that high that you chase. Once you get a taste of that shine, it's like you need to keep on achieving that, and when you don't, it there's a downhill slope to that. You know, and with that downhill slope, you're now talking about a period in time that we definitely would love to learn from. You know, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of gems of actually hitting a peak and then going into the downhill slope in these early 2000 times. You know what I mean? Please speak on it and drop some gems from that time, you know, of having a peak moment and hitting that downhill slope and what you did to actually overcome it.
You know, it's interesting because I don't know if I ever overcame it, right?
When did you realize it? Because I remember starting to realize that something toxic was happening. Like when I was making scrambled eggs, and I'm like, I'll crack this egg, and I was like, I'm just making eggs. Everything I'm thinking of like destroying things all the time. When did you realize that it wasn't like positive for your mental health in general?
I think a big part of it was you know, like getting to that moment where you're like, am I homeless? Because you're essentially living off the kindness of others.
Right.
And you just got this thought in your head that, yo, I'm gonna make it up to this person. I'm gonna hit it big. Like I'm almost there.
There we go.
I'm one song away. Like I'm gonna get all this stuff, all this. Yo, I know I'm cramping your style here. I'm up on your couch, but yo, once I hit it, we good. It's gonna come, and then you get that like little advance for a little project, and you're like, yes, it's about to pop off, and it doesn't pop off. And then you get a video game soundtrack. You're like, yo, it's about to pop, and it doesn't pop on. And it's at a certain point you start doing when you start recording for money, that's when everything starts like getting weird.
There you go.
And that's where it's like,
ding.
dude, I got some whack ass beats, but I'll give you $500, and you're like, I can eat for a month if I budget properly. All right.
And it starts messing with your creative process too, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's terrible on the creative process.
Yo, when I was making the most money, I had the worst writer's block, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I understand exactly what you meant.
Yeah, and you can't unrelease those things once they come out.
So let me ask you a question though, like, and it's crazy, man, and I'm gonna be real with you, Breez. As long as I've known you, yo, you always, and it's funny seeing you on stage, man. First and foremost, and I'm gonna get into this question too, man. I think it's needed. But seeing you on stage, man, and constantly shouting out the family, you know what I mean? Always stronghold. Like you was always the anchor to that because you constantly, and people seeing you on stage and decapitating all these dudes, right? But you always been one of the most humble dudes, man. Like your spirit was always right, heart always good. You know what I'm saying? And like going through that situation, I could only imagine like you're going through that darkness, that dark time, but you're dealing with not having a home to yourself and still. But I'm pretty sure, man, there was many others who was just on some real like, yo, this is my brother though, and I know he would do it for me. You know what I mean? But it has to taint you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That the frustration needs to kind of stick with you somewhat because it's just kind of like, yo, I'm a good dude. I do for others as much as I can. Now I'm dealing with this situation. How, going back to the mental health aspect, how does that did it ever change you to being a different person outside of like I'm seeing just a human being? Did it ever change that human side of who Breez is?
Nah, I can't say that it did. And even though it probably should have at times, right? I was really focused on the crew piece because I always felt like a little bit of a misfit myself. Like definitely a nerd geek growing up and into like strange comic stuff and just to myself a lot. In high school, so I always felt like a little bit of an outsider. So, Stronghold, like we were all like weirdos at that time. So, it just felt like
C-Ray's wall stands for crazy.
Yes,
C-Ray's, if y'all don't put it together, crazy.
I
swore he was the Black Hood hip hop version of Raiden from Mortal Kombat. To this day, you can't tell me he wasn't.
Yeah. And then the other part was I had like the code, like I was always very loyal, like my man Jubilee keeps popping up in the comments, right? Never forget, like one of the best conversations I ever had in my life was in around that period in the 2000s as things were starting to decline. And, we were talking and he was saying like how I reminded him of like, like a samurai around the turn of Japan. Where things starting to get industrialized, but they still walking around with that sword and they got a code, and that code means everything. And to me, like there was that code of MCing that was my religion, And later on in life, like once I got over the taboo of therapy and sat down with somebody and talked through some things, it started to make sense that, without that father figure in my life, like I've kind of pieced together this man that I wanted to be, but I never really reconciled with feeling good about what I had created. And that was probably something else that was, resonating in the background throughout that whole journey and throughout that whole process. And so, wanting to find like, that camaraderie and being around other men, like, and the over masculinity of all the stuff that we were doing half the time, like it was probably all related in some way, shape, or form to that hole and that piece that was missing from my life.
It was still weight. You're saying it was a weight that weighed on you.
Yeah,
that you carried, but still had to go through the process because at the same time you had to, like you say, chase a high or live up to a peak that you needed in your career. You
Yeah.
know, and that really resonates with a lot of people that's listening right now. I really want to shout out to everybody that's listening because you know, especially as independent artists or entrepreneurs, as anybody that's really trying to do something independently, we experience those times of getting things going, the ball rolling. You see the vision of where it can go, and your dreams are set so high, and now there's conflict within the spirit that doesn't actually push you in that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The conflict within the spirit, you
Yes.
know, is just the same as when you're saying you're operating the law of attraction or something like that. You're operating within your spirit to attract what you want. But when you have that conflict, you cannot attract what you really want to accomplish, and then you go through the turmoil and you on that downhill slope of what you're explaining.
That's deep.
Church.
That's deep.
That's
So,
This is
Breez,
real.
and this is for everybody, right? Anybody we have on here, and Breez, you could attest to it. I asked you if there's anything you're not comfortable with, just let us know. You know what I mean, or let me know. I am gonna ask you a question, brother. If you choose not to speak on it, and as it comes up right now, man, Stronghold, one of the most powerful collectives in the underground era, New York City.
There wasn't another one. Let's be real.
There wasn't.
Stronghold
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
If you was in NYC in the underground, it wasn't. Stronghold was the unit.
The epitome.
Stronghold was the example. It was
so with that being
diverse,
said,
and every
so you
member had
had
to pay their dues too.
exactly,
Everybody was doing
and
their
that's
own
what I was
thing.
going to talk about. Like you had Breez, Immortal Tech, Sway, C-Rays, Poison, like y'all had
Self-index.
such a crazy unit. And not for nothing, man, and I'm saying this with all the love in the world, man. When we was coming up, now granted, hip-hop is made out of competition. You know what I'm saying? But there was a somewhat of a brotherhood. I remember us being SoundMinds and putting on the SoundMinds mic clashes and all that, and looking at y'all and being like, yo, these dudes right here, though, something special.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you.
That's what's funny. Stronghold was never like competition for us. Stronghold
Right,
was
never.
like, oh,
It was a brotherhood.
that's our brothers. Like,
Right,
that's
right.
why, like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? That's like
So because at that time too, there was Plague, there was Writers Guild, there was EO Dub, there was crazy units, man, and no disrespect to nobody else, not even to us, but Stronghold was that one. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta ask you, like, where does that all stand now? How are y'all like? I know different relationships from different people and all that, man. I gotta tell you, I would be more than elated just to hear, and I'm not, you know, but I would be more than elated just to hear a Stronghold track together now. But where does the family kind of stand? And I know you being kind of like, I always seen you for whatever the reason, man. I always seen you as one of the leaders, just based, and you know, everybody was a leader.
Breez was Professor X.
Yeah, you was. Yeah, I don't know. I was always like, yo, Breez is the one.
When you seen the logo, you knew Breez did the logo. You know,
I love this comment.
He was creating that fatherness through hip hop. You know what I mean?
This comment too. Before he even answers, I love this comment where they say, shout out to Echo Leader. He says that Stronghold was the underground's Wu-Tang.
Project AC, yo.
Woo.
Like the underground woo. Like I'm talking about and on top of that,
we gonna get into that too.
For him
they got a couple connections to Wu-Tang.
To even add some icing on the cake, for him to be the artist that goes on MTV and holds it down, shouts some shit, says stronghold, we on our independent grind, like against all of the record labels right there on national television. You know what I mean? Saying it, being the anchor of it. Where is Strongholds now, my brother?
You know, it was one of those, you know, experiences in your life that you never forget. Like for some people, that's the fraternity that they were a part of when they went to college, you know, and they have that brotherhood afterwards. And anywhere they go, like if you was a part of that, then you was cool. But if you were in that class, like that's your brother right there. But not having been collegians, like that was our fraternal organization, like that was our brotherhood, like those were the people that we spent a lot of time with, you organized with, you planned with, you put ideas together with. And you know, we idolized Wu-Tang. Like Wu-Tang was like they were the torchbearers back then. They showed everybody the way. They did it on their own terms, and they did it lyrically. And I think that blew everybody away also. So everybody was trying to like get fired up and push, which was good because a lot of good came out of that. A lot of really dope artists came out of that. There was a lot of iron sharpening iron in the underground as we like pushed each other a little bit harder.
But a perfect example why you want that, a perfect example of that is since you talking right to the point, between Zoo, you got someone who knows how you get down, you know how he gets down, you get this opportunity, you spar with him, it's gracious. You got someone like Flex, you know how he gets down, he doesn't really know how you get down. So it's like you want to salute the brother, but then it's kind of this weird thing that we talking about where you're in a space where you have to prove yourself to somebody and almost not show him too much love. Which when I think about where our minds was at, it's so dysfunctional, but that's what it was. You had to like not show love to people you wanted to show love to. But in between those two, when you talk about Wu-Tang in the highest esteem, tell us about that night. What was that like when you had to battle?
Hold on. Let him build though. Let him keep on building because I think he was definitely building on the stronghold situation, and just we need to hear that, brother. Because I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what's crazy, Breeze? Like again, and this is not a shameless plug at all, B. I'm just giving flowers where it's well deserved. I put out Over the Influence, and a lot of the people that I mentioned, you know what I mean, Boot Camp, you know what I'm saying, and other people, man, and I felt the need to mention Stronghold because everybody, you know what I'm saying, like, and I think that I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. If y'all put out like a documentary of Stronghold and the ups and downs and all that, that would be so crazy and ill for everybody who knows what hip hop underground really was. So when I asked that question, it's only because I feel like y'all wanted to both, you know, academics, man. And I don't know if you remember academics. Acco is my partner, Acolytes. It was me and you know, Acco and LiteSkin, Acolytes. He said it best, man. You
till now.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother.
That's that O right there. That was the O.
That was good.
Mic drop.
And he said it like y'all was the underground Wu-Tang, and he said you were kind of seen as, to us, you were kind of seen as that head lion on Voltron. You know what I'm saying? Because the way you carried yourself, and not to say that nobody, Penn, everybody's a leader. We already know where Immortal Tech is. We know who Penn is, and Penn always loved his energy. You know what I mean? Penn was always that first dude to flip in a second, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
But then, like, to see, like, yo, damn, what happened to Stronghold? And not to say that y'all never, it's just more so like I kind of feel like y'all should have been on that Wu-Tang boot camp click level where it was just like, yo, I don't care about commercialism.
So
they need
clarify,
to get pushed.
Can we clarify the question? So let's clarify the question because y'all, this question right here is heavy. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. Wait, first and foremost, I don't know the Stronghold group by name or by artist in it. So I would need, you know, who's in it, and on top of that, then the follow up of what happened, you know, after, you know, the peak situation.
Yeah. I think 88 Hip Hop brought us together. So
Okay.
88 Hip Hop gets the credit for bringing Stronghold together.
Dope.
Okay.
How did you arrive at 88 Hip Hop? Going back to that corner where that night out on the block on Houston, where I saw Breeze tell a dude, "You not intimidating." That was across the street from 88 Hip Hop, and I think that was one of the places that we went after that night. It might have been a different night, but it was right across the street. How did y'all get there, and then how did that end up forming it?
It ended up with that. It ended up with all those late nights after 88 Hip Hop, and who would hang out, right? Who would stay? Who would continue to flow? Who would continue to rock? And then I remember like just thinking about it, like, man, there's so much talent up here. When we go upstairs into the 6th floor, and there was that big warehouse space, and there were all those ciphers that were going on outside of the studio. Like
Slick Rick came through, Freddie Fox came through. You never knew. Like it was amazing.
Never knew. And so for me, a big part of it was, all right, we got all these people here. Like I was already like, you know, I had a taste of the industry a little bit through the Sound Plus Rhythm records. And I was already starting to do my own thing after that. I was like, yo, Woo killed it. I need a crew also. Like maybe I could connect with some of these guys here. And I remember printing out flyers talking about their strength in numbers and putting out a call. And I just handed it out to a bunch of different heads. I think I invited about 9 people to come through, and 5 people who showed up at my mom's crib because I was back to living with my mom for a little bit at that time.
I feel like I'm reading a comic book right now. This is crazy.
Index and Life. And then while we were there, like we came up with the name. Like Penn had that name Stronghold in his mind for a while, and he was just looking for something to use it for. So we rocked with Stronghold, and then we started writing verses that same day, and everybody wrote about a number or a finger, and then that's where the hand and the fingers came together. And then I started sketching the castle with the fist and the pipe. And so all of that came together that first day, and from there it was like it's meant to be. Let's make it happen. And Cap was like the industrial minded one. He was organized. Like, man, Index used to have like all the floppy disks numbered by date. Like he was that kind of organized guy. Like so everybody brought something different to the table, and then we had like the best support around us ever. You know, Big Mike Terror with his truck. Oh man, with the Volvo, we used to squeeze into Wiz's Volvo. Like they would get us around. Static would come through. We jump in Static's old station wagon, his old Honda wagon, and
Rebecca said we need that documentary.
A lot of people saying we need the doc in the chat.
Breez, get it done, brother.
Documentary. We
get
need
it
the
done.
Documentary.
Come on, brother.
Let's go. Hey, okay. For the documentary, though, let's get to the juicy part.
Yeah. All right. You know, I mean, I got to take ownership for that also. Like at a certain point in time, like as my personal life and finances were declining, like that's where the ability to lead such a strong-willed group through all these things that were happening and through all these things that were being asked of us was difficult to keep everybody together when I couldn't keep my own stuff together. And I was, you know, the leader of the group, and I would set the agenda more often than not. I just didn't have the capacity to articulate it at that time that I was not the best person to make the decisions. You know, I remember at one point, like Heads was getting upset at one point over some nonsense in the group. And it just led to beef that was unnecessary. Like I'm trying to omit this as I speak because I don't need to air anything out.
Right.
But again, it was a moment where I could have made a call that could have killed the noise, and I didn't because I just didn't have it in me. I was just like, I can't deal with that right now. And that noise persisted, and it led to fractures. And you know, over time, those fractures just grew and expanded. You know, and there was no ill will, and there's nothing hostile about it. You know,
because when you're in the middle of a situation, again, we talking about mental health aspects, and that's what I appreciate. We're older now, and you know, there's younger cats that every week I have somebody hit me up and be like, "Yo, like, I'm looking forward to your next podcast. You know what I mean? Shout out to Wordsworth, shout out to Cambada. Like,
Yeah.
I realize now we could look at things from a fifth dimensional perspective almost. We can see what young dudes are going through. And the more accountability we have for the processes, first, you realize you'll make it through. But
Yeah.
second, you realize like, oh, I understand that sometimes I didn't do something that I actually did have the power to do.
Yeah.
And that's part of the dysfunctionality. When you're in a mindset of always fighting and being an underdog, that's a mindset energy. So sometimes you actually don't have to fight. You know what I mean? Like when I got this record deal offer, like when I got these different things, and you don't have to fight, but you're still taking on that mentality where you don't just relax and do something positive. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's all comes through leadership. That all comes through leadership, like you're saying, man. A lot of times, like leaders.
Well, speaking of leadership, though, it does leadership clashes because you know the energy is when you're dealing with the group. Like when we young and when we got our crews, it is that we all are trying to be leaders, and on top of that, at the same time, that's an energy that clashes because we don't want to be outdone as a leader. You know, so it's a masculine energy of clashing, and then at the same time as us being young men, we find the time, from what I'm realizing, this is like a pattern for a lot of us, is that we don't know how to communicate to each other about how we really feel. You know what I'm saying? So it's more of a silent disconnect or a silent distance that we put between it. You know, so that look, as long as we have it, we know, look, ain't no harm doing, we cool. I don't got no problem. I don't got no beef with you, nothing like that. You know, but just from our situation, it's just that we just not connected no more. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know how to mend that as men. You know what I'm saying? Or young men, but even on top of that, as men, because we try to say, well, I can't go backwards. You know, so it's just that conflict battle that we have within ourselves as men, and it's spread especially more within a group. And that's kind of what I feel like you was explaining, if you want to.
Absolutely, man. And like for me, there was also that fear of, the what could come or the changes that were up ahead. Like I love Technique's energy, but I saw him as a threat, to my authority in the group. Like there was this young person who was like, when Tech first hit the battle scene, like Tech lawn mowed people. Like I never saw like C Reyes get mollywopped in the battle until that one. Tech was no joke on that scene there, but I was threatened by his strength and his presence, and he was the young, and he was the next wave that was coming in also. And here I am, like 30 plus already at this point in the early 2000s, like still trying to keep this group together and keep all our focuses, whatever was left, intact after so many different setbacks and things that have held us up. Like it was exactly that, right? Like the ego kicks in, that mindset, and not really having had like a mentor in the process didn't help either. So and that's why, like now I definitely, try to mentor as much as I can, try to provide as much insight and context, because I remember not having that and the impact that had on me. So
look, we become the best communicators, trying to teach more communication to the young.
So now you segue. There's actually two things I want to double back to something, but then I want to segue into the beautiful flourishingness that comes from it now, which is really what is amazing. You know what I mean? That we don't have to speak for ourselves now. We don't have to prove ourselves now. Maybe we didn't have to back then, look in hindsight, but at least we know we don't have to now. You know what I'm saying? What was it like respecting the Wu, having respect for them, making your own group, seeing this model, but being on your own come up like crazy, and in NYC, like being even closer because Wu was in Staten, y'all was in the core of the 5 boroughs, you know what I mean? So it's like, what was it like that fateful night when you going up against a legendary Wu member in a battle? In terms of being like, can I show him love? Like, is he gonna think I'm soft that I show him love? What do you remember what that was like? Like having to put the, like Liggy and Low say, put the fisticuffs on the
yeah.
right that you respect.
Um, I just remember it, like just a battle on that scale where we had like signed artists in the battle. Finally, like for me, it was like, oh, finally, y'all came down into the pit. Like let's go. And that was the mindset at the time, right? Like again, like heavily into that. Like regardless of who you are, once you step into this arena, like I'm
Come
going
get it.
to make you remember that we battled. Like
Right.
you're not gonna step out feeling like you didn't battle somebody. So I didn't have any reverence or love for him in that moment at all. It was just, you stepped in here. And now I'm
Right.
going to use you. I'm going to use your crew's reputation and name. I'm going to use everything I have about you and your status against you to try to tear you down. And that was it. That was the mindset, right? And it worked, luckily. The
And
next
it worked,
round didn't
which is
work
to
out so
show you
well,
that
but that round did.
within that paradigm, whether it's something we look back at and say, okay, it's healthy or not, it was the paradigm that worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is needed within that moment. You do what is needed within each moment, you know.
But was
And
there a
the more
relationship
you got
after that?
There was an attempt at one, and I give them so much credit because Donna actually reached out afterwards. They
Kappa
invited
Dun?
me to come through to the Wu-Tang studios on like it was like 38th Street or somewhere off of 7th Ave over there. My man Carlos Best, who I went to junior high school with, was like the engineer in the studio, so it was good to see him. But they had me jump in the booth like, Wu style and just drop some verses, right? And see what resonated or what didn't. So I had my moment. But again, like at that point, like I was so into the craft of battling that the bars just were not translating in the studio well. And they were really nice about it. They didn't say, yo, you didn't make the cut, but I never got a call back.
Nice way to put it.
It was nice. I was in the
Dope,
booth
though.
spitting battle bars again,
That's dope. The battle was
Breez.
like a rite of passage, and after that, there was something else that happened. So I'm
So
gonna let
Breez,
light go, and then I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
it back to where that takes us, because I think that does take us into something positive that came out
yeah,
of it.
I gotta ask you this, man. I was gonna let this question rock, and then I said, nah, I need to ask you, brother, because of who you were. You know what I'm saying? In the battlefield, man. Extensive battling resume, man. Pumpkinhead. Rest in peace to Pumpkinhead. A lot of dudes that you had to mentally prepare without being able to have certain things that are given now for preparation. So I say that to say, can you speak on the climate change on going off the head and the battles back then to what we're currently having right now, where it seems more scripted? It seems more like, yo, you got some time to prepare. You know what I mean? Hit that heavy bag a little bit, hit that speed bag. Here you go. Here's 6 months to prepare. Can you
Yeah.
speak on that climate, that change?
or you could say it's super commercialized.
Yeah.
It's different, right? Like I almost feel like they took the model from the poetry slams and then adapted it to like hip hop with a strong street angle to it, right? So it's like the poetry slams were awesome back in the late 90s. Like I used to get a lot of inspiration from going to those. Like I remember seeing like Vibe Chameleons and like just get like being mind blown, like Mums the Schemer was like ridiculous.
Mumps was crazy.
Yeah, back in those days, right? All of them, right? And so that was a different scene, but it overlapped with the underground hip hop scene. And those dudes weren't stepping into battles, but they had a really, really cool format for the poetry slams, which allowed for a lot of that air in that space, right? So I almost feel like these should be classified as something else because, you know, people are trying to say like it's like the traditional battles out on the corners, but it's not. Like it wasn't like that on the corners. Like I know firsthand, like I was there, like I was all boroughs, like all city, like I would hop on the train to go cipher, you know, out in Red Hook, like in the middle of the projects, you know, like because there was a cipher going on, like I would jump on the train to go out there to cipher, like that was me, right? And the ciphers didn't rock the way these battles are rocking right now. When a battle would pop off in the cipher, like, yeah, you have your moments of, oh, but you wouldn't like stop and ham it up at that point. Like you would just keep rocking. Like it wasn't like, you know, so I look at it now and I'm like, it's very theatric, you know, it's very theatric. And the preparation, like awesome. Like I get the mindset, like it's kind of like prize fighting. You prep for you know, a prize fight, so why not prep for a battle? Like, yeah, cool, I got that, but it lacks that spontaneity that, you know, we used to enjoy and appreciate from back in those days, you know. But the theatrics and the showmanship of it is attractive and apparently appealing to a lot of people. They really get into it. But when you break it down and you really listen to them in terms of cadence and flow, that's where I draw more parallels to the poetry slams, because we would make fun of them a little bit on the low because of the way they would drop their bars and drop their cadence in those slams. And after a certain point, some people would go with this certain cadence and flow, you know, just so they can fit into the mold of a poetry slam artist when they weren't the real deal, right? And we're in that same space now where you can copy these cadences, copy these flows, you can know how to break it down, you can pause in a dramatic fashion that everybody expects you to, and that familiarity will carry you forward and into success in this. And it's just, come on, that's not where we came from. But for our era, like you had to have your own style, your own lane. Like, you know, when you stepped the heads on the corner, like they knew you by your style. Like even if they forgot your name, they remembered how you flowed and how you made people feel when you rocked. Like everybody had their own thing. Like this just isn't it for me.
And then on top of that, somebody just put up too, man, is the Broadway theatrics versus the free flow. That's another thing too, man. And I want to get into that too when we talk about the album. The difference of so many things, man, where it's just kind of like at the end of the day, freestyling is no longer freestyling. You know what I'm saying? When people say, yo, I'm about to go on this radio show and freestyle, and yo, I come off the mod, my gun go off behind, and then you're like, yo, I heard that on your album though. You're not freestyling. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just kind of like at the end of the day, I think the battle, and again, definitely go into it when we go into the album, you know what I mean? Old Man Spring. But like you said it, man, there was something different about the 70 and 80s kids. You know what I mean? There was something different about that time, man. There was something different about the what used to be where you had to sit there and really work on your craft. Now it was just kind of like, I can't tell you how many times, and no disrespect to them. If they feel disrespected, we could talk, it don't matter. But yeah, at the end of the day, I can't tell you how many times I'm hearing about, you know, I take the moon and raise my son. Yeah, I ain't get that. This is the way I raise my gun. And I'm like, yo, fam, how many times am I going to hear about these gigantic guns that none of y'all popping off with? You know what I mean? So, and that's the difference. Whereas
my personal favorite is every time you mention Malcolm X, you got to say, I'm by the window with a gun. It's like, do you understand? And you gonna sound like a hater to say this, but if you understand white supremacy and what it's done to like make a cartoon out of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, you understand why that's the worst possible thing for a black person to do. Like you taking someone who was actually accomplished, being amazing at so many different things, and you're pigeonholing them to one moment and one picture, you know?
Well, I mean,
why would you do that in a creative art form?
You know, to speak from a younger generation, you know what I mean? Isn't that just now the gun bar culture of hip hop battle rap? Specifically, you know, it's a specific niche in Hip hop now is
Okay,
a
let me give
for
an
battle
example.
rap is a
Let me
gun
give an
bar. So
example.
now there's specific artists that are gun bar artists. You know that they
Yes,
going you know they ain't busting no guns, but guess what? They only spit gun bars. And
Yep.
that's what they are
yes.
known for. And guess what? They understand that they don't do that, but I'm a gun bar artist. Now that's what it is now, right?
It's
I
a
Yep.
formula.
remember hearing Stronghold, right? Because I knew them from the ciphers outside, you know what I mean? And then I knew them from winning battles as individuals inside. But even when y'all was individual, you might have the damn picket signs that says Stronghold. Like y'all was going hard for each other, you know what I mean? These are some of the reasons why I say I feel like all the other crews, it's almost like the movie Warriors. All the other crews saluted Stronghold because as individuals you was doing your thing, but like y'all let it know y'all was in the building, even if one of y'all was in the battle on the stage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like yo, they had picket signs at points in time, yo. They was doing, but on that point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be guns or like Wu-Tang used Asian films. It didn't have to be a thing. It was this thing like I feel you talking about, bro, where it's like, okay, we lack fathership, we lack healthy masculinity, we want to get groups, we want to show leadership and have teams.
Mhm.
How do we do this? And we're not gonna be marketable just always being an individual that's like in his own world and just disses people, right? So like one of the times I'll give you an example for Rashaman, I seen Stronghold at a show and I think radio too, but I definitely seen y'all live on stage and y'all came out and it was almost like a quintet. Cause even though y'all was the realest MCs, y'all was like, it's Stronghold on the mic, 1, 2, 3, 3. And it was this whole sing-song routine, and it was like, oh, that's fire. Cause people can't cut you down lyrically, but you're showing we could combine and do like this catchy thing. Do y'all you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally, totally. Like we would work hard on our little stage intros, and we had like little like intros that would blend into each other, where we'd each drop a 16 and then freeze. Like we definitely we incorporated theatrics in a different way back
Yep.
then, right? Like it was more of the showmanship aspect of
It
hip hop.
wasn't
That was going
gimmicky. It
back
was
to
show
the
you it wasn't gimmicky. It was showcasement. Yeah,
yeah,
showcasing.
man. Yeah, and how you put it together. Like I remember, like because I am old enough to remember like the routines from the Furious Five back in the days and Funky 4+1 and how they would sing song their way into a verse. Cold
Mhm.
Crush had crazy routines that they
That's
would rock
a cool
in
question.
between their verses, right? Like so that's birthplace of hip hop. Me as a 7-year-old walking past the linoleum on the floor in '76 and '77, and seeing these routines and hearing them on the radio late at night because I can only listen to it once a week. So I was up late at night with the tape player pushed up against the speaker, trying to keep it just low enough where I wouldn't get in trouble with my mom's. But all those songs have routines. I remember the Fat Boys versus the Force MDs on the Staten Island Ferry. That song right there had crazy routines in it. So that's what I came up with, and that was hip hop.
Nice.
And that was
And that
hip.
was the aspect I need people to understand because they wouldn't probably get this from like this mince this preview glimpse of a documentary, right? On Breeze and his crews and various because he's worked with a lot of
Yo, Breeze,
people
I'm
like
gonna let you know right now. I'm gonna let you know right now, brother. It be brotherhood and it's all for love. Fam, if you start saying Stronghold, the documentary needs to be done hashtag, that's because we need to see this, brother. So we gonna start it today and let's get it going, man. Y'all
but
need to
that's what I'm
y'all story
saying.
need to be told.
A lot of people would think of like one aspect, the battling or like being out in the street versus being on stage in industry, whatever. Like there was this whole beautiful thing I seen where like they was doing the sing song routines. They was linking the previous MCs of the past with the new, the battling with this thing. And it's like you often this is what I talk about the toxicness that cuts us off from parts of ourselves. It's hard to talk about that part and still talk about this, you know what I mean? And I'm seeing like the illest cats, you know what I mean, on stage doing this thing. And it's like when we go in schools now and the kid sees like maybe a white teacher every day and they have a certain type of dress. And then you come up there and you dress up sometimes. Wordsworth was talking about this, remember? But we've all had the same experience. You dress up one day, you got your tie, shiny shoes, whatever. And then another day you come in with your jeans and your own logos on your gear. And they're like, oh, I don't have to be one way, right? Like doing this doesn't mean I can't do that. So I definitely want to say, just I remember that, and I remember you did it so well, and how it broke the ice in the show. You know what I mean? It didn't just open the show; it gave us kind of what we needed as young people going to a hip hop show. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which was to see break the ice, you in a space, because ultimately hip hop is peace, love, unity, and fun. You know what I mean? So it covered the bases. Did you? On the other hand, in the battle, just to explain for people who don't know, it wasn't like you might have 4 or 5 battles on the card. The way we had battles back then was it might just be a cipher and you end up battling whoever, it might be in the actual space in the venue. Everybody's signing up and they pick 32 people, for 16.
That's how we did it.
Right there.
Yep.
That's how we did it.
They might pick 16 people for 8 battles. So what happened was, even if you won, obviously we talked about that's dope. You could beat but you beat 32 people and you came out on top. We get that. That's what made us exciting. That's the dopamine rush. But eventually you get to a point where you yo, even if I win, I just had to talk crazy about 32 different people.
Yeah.
And they all hate me right now. That's winning. And you ready for the punchline, right? For y'all that don't know, you just watching these big battle leagues right now. For y'all to know, and Penn will tell y'all too, Swave knows, Tech knows. Yep. For y'all that don't know, you walk away, you talk crazy about 32 people.
Yep.
And then you won, and you might have got $100 or a jacket.
Right.
But
these dudes are getting thousands of dollars for scripted theatrics back in the day. Yo, I got footage of, shout out to Mecca too, man. I got footage of Mecca versus Academics. I got footage of, you know what I mean? Yo,
Mecca,
a lot of Mecca was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man, that Self is saying, man, and Kaz building on the fact that, yo, a lot of the blueprint and the foundational bricks, that was us. That was our era. You know what I mean? And that was the creation of, and you said it on the album, man. Who capitalizes off of hip hop? Damn. It's just crazy to see the formation of what at one time was probably laughed at or shunned. Nah, we don't want those around our neighborhoods, to now become pay-per-view events. You know what I'm saying?
And that's part of the positive aspect that I want to bend this in towards now, because on one hand you start realizing wait, this is what I'm going out to do tonight. I'm going out to diss people, make them not like me, and maybe get $100 or a jacket. And at first you're not thinking about it because the money don't matter, but then you start thinking about that, and you start thinking about, wait, it's not even that I'm not making a lot of money, it's that somebody else is making money off of me dissing my bros. And you start realizing, right, out of everybody in the city, for y'all that don't know, New York City got 9 million people in it. Out of everybody in the city, these is the most like-minded people that's out in the street at 4 a.m.
Yep.
They might not have a stable family structure, that got drugs and guns, you know what I mean? And we trying to find something positive to do and being lyrical and poetic about it. And these is the people I'm going and dissing, right? So then you go, okay, I got $100 in a jacket tonight.
Yep.
If we had just each put in $20, could have we made a CD? Could have we made some merch to sell, some t-shirts?
Yeah.
Could have we walked away having love for each other? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that some of the things you mentioned, like 88 hip hop, like Stronghold as a crew, like SoundMinds, like us starting to do, there was numerous nights where we threw an open mic and we didn't even rock. You know what I mean? It became an afterthought. Like we hit a supposed space, and it was like the anti-battle. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think of it that way, but unconsciously that's what it was. Because it was like I want to walk away having 32 people that want to do tracks with each other, that want to make each money for black and brown people in the hood, instead of the venue owner sells mad liquor and we walk away mad at each other and one of us gets $50.
Yeah, that's a question that I
Am I
want to
lying?
ask. That's a question that I want to ask Breez. Like, do
I'm
you
not
think,
lying, right?
especially from being, you know, like I've learned a lot, you know, from your story tonight, you know, of being in the essence of hip hop and being from the essence of hip hop, representing the essence of hip hop. You know what I mean? And when you listen to your music, you hear that. You know what I mean? And then when you see you on, you know, TV or the on YouTube right now, when you see us, when you see us, you see yourself on YouTube, that's hip hop, right? Do you feel, you know, from being in it, do you feel like people that hold the essence of hip hop should benefit the most from hip hop?
Nah, that would be unrealistic. I think it would be in all fairness, that's how it should be, but I don't expect it to be that way. But
In
I would
all
like for it to be
fairness.
that way. Like I would like for the pioneers to all be set right now. I would like to, you know, see them all like well set and, you know,
Yes,
all
well,
taken
speak
care
on
of, all
that. That's
have
what I'm
health
saying. Speak on
benefits.
that.
Like,
Speak on that. Speak on that. Because you
yeah,
have the
you know, so
pioneers that
in
really.
a perfect world, like, you know, we allowed it to go the way of jazz. And I don't know if that's anything that we're ever going to be able to avoid until there's, you know, just more economic power in black and brown communities. And just as the way of jazz, it was like I was talking about with the underground hip hop guys, right? Like, you know, I hate to call it out this way, but it's real though. You know, a lot of the white boys can still get out there and rock and fill a crowd, just like Kenny G was killing it with jazz back in the 80s, right? And that was after we had lost that art form then. So for me, this was the inevitable because it's just unfortunately where our power doesn't lie. That just didn't give us the ability to hold on to it. And it's something that, you know, you worry about from time to time. Like there's like this amazing hip hop scene down here in South Florida that I came across, right? And we started something called Cypher in the Circle. Last year we were Cypher in the Park once a month.
Shout out to my homie, my verse, by the way.
That's
Florida
what,
got Ben has spit it.
yeah.
Matter of fact, Jen came from Florida. Remember that?
Yo, so many heads came tone deaf, like, yo, Florida
Tone deaf,
represented for real, right? And the heads down here, right? Like incredible. Like, oh my God, the talent is off the chain. Like heads will come to this freestyle off the top. What's up?
Dead Press, M1 and Stick, wasn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida. To me, I consider it the sixth borough, right? Like since moving down here, like almost everybody I meet has a cousin, uncle, or somebody connected to New York. Like there's a lot of connections, but that hip hop connection is real too. And it came
Breeze,
through.
maybe the seventh borough. Six boroughs Lower East Side.
No doubt. Seventh borough it is. But this one homie down here, H2O, he came out to the second cipher and brought through like some of the most official MCs I'd ever met in my life. And here were all these parallels to people that I knew from New York, like same skill level, caliber, love for the game, love for the music. And then as the cipher continued to develop, we started building and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And right before COVID, like we were at about 40 MCs coming through the rock, and crowds of about 80 to 100 people starting to gather in the park or pass through at different points, right? But it was getting big. And heads are like, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, hopefully we could do something soon, because I have a feeling the same thing will happen that happened in New York, right? We were killing it. The ciphers were big. And then, you know, Rockers came through with that Rupert Murdoch money, and they were able to pick and choose from the top who they wanted. And that's how they do. And that's how they would do down here eventually also, have we kept going, is what I felt. So I was trying to organize and get heads in the studio to try to rock so they could put stuff out on their own, and try to get ahead of that. But it was hard with everything that started happening, you know, with the shutdown, to keep that organization going. But yeah, Kosi.
But let's keep going on that level, because if you see in the arc of the story behind the story, we really came from a spot where we were taught to rip each other apart,
Mm-hmm.
to get $100 while somebody else made thousands,
Yeah.
and maybe get ourselves drunk or something like that.
Yeah.
And now to come to things where we were increasingly creating a space for other people. And ultimately that's where SoundMinds started to thrive. Like, tell me if I'm lying, but we started to be known as a place where people could just have a safer place to go. We didn't say safe,
Yeah.
people didn't think of it safe, but we knew that's what it was. Like the LES had some real crazy things going on.
Yes, it
So for
did.
you to have a space to go that was cool and fun, till 2 a.m. or where have you, like that was the same energy from battling to say, I'm not battling to show that I am the best. I'm battling to show my best. Like, what is the best thing I can do in my community? You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is a type of battle, but I feel like that's what Breez is talking about. He's going down here. He's saying, look, I seen this happen in this space. Let me give us some more control of it as it's happening here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's okay to have the competitiveness and want to do this energy, but let's not be so quick to just let other people capitalize
Mhm.
off of us all the time
Yeah.
and us be fighting each other.
Yeah.
So I actually want to go to, if I could bring it up, Rashaman, can you share my screen? I would actually like to go to a project that you did, which is a perfect example. And this track is called Of Thee I Sing.
You got it. I mean,
Is taking it back before faxes and pages, before taxes and wages required representation. The colonies in the stage of division, where Arthur Hodge couldn't dodge execution from the abolition. Had that been listed in the social setting, I'm betting Breitbart might start bankrolling birth of a nation. Further creation of sensational claims, encourage further complacency when faced with our pain, instilling brain. And in the game where brothers all kneel, y'all thinking, damn, they should be grateful just to run on the field. Time for real.
we can't play the whole thing for copyright reasons.
Hey.
So,
So
That's fine.
he's still
I
going.
think he's still listening.
yeah, he's
Breeze.
still rocking. He's still rocking.
So for the sake of time, brother, and we definitely want to respect your time, man. We already 2 hours in. We got to get
Wait,
into
you
this
couldn't
album.
hear me?
No, we heard you. We
couldn't hear
heard you. He can't play the whole thing because it's copyright reasons.
Oh, okay, but you heard it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that album was basically, you got a bunch of people together, and this gonna bring tears to my eyes. This whole paradigm we talked about, having 16 or 32 people in a room that dissed each other and walked away, and one of them got something. Almost everything was flipped on its head. You brought all these MCs together and producers, rapped about what was going on in our nation right now with some unity, and then took any funds generated and donated them to a cause to do something about it.
Salute.
I mean, it's almost like you flipped what was happening in the battles on our head. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if it was as intentional as that, as far as like, intending to take the negative from the past and create something positive going forward. I was just in a moment where I just wanted to try to make a difference again. And I wish that earlier on in my career I had been committed to do so when I had a larger platform. I feel like, at this point now, like I'm still thankful and I'm blown away that heads would still want to listen to some of my stuff. And it's been good, the following that I've been able to get so far. But that song right there was just like, I just was looking around and I was like, man, there's got to be something I can do. I talked to my man Davey Tree, who produced this album, Breeze These Trees for me, and we got another jam coming out soon. Like he was a part of something called the Mission Burrito Project in SF, and before San Francisco got all overblown and expensive, like you know, him and his homies was running around like handing out burritos to the homeless, and the problem was like super bad back in the days. This was like early 90s, late 80s in SF, right? But his whole concept was, you know, think global but act local. And so I looked around, and there was this organization here called the Community Justice Project, and they backed up the Dream Defenders. And if you're unfamiliar with the Dream Defenders, you know, they mobilized heavy after Trayvon Martin's killing. And the Community Justice Project was also involved in this benevolity thing that my job has. And so that way I was able to put the funds in there, and then my job was doing matching donations also. So I was able to triple the amount that we were able to generate. So altogether, we raised about $1,000 for the organization.
Yo, pound the like button right now for that. If you watching this and you haven't hit like yet or put a comment or share this because people need to say that. And like, I'm glad you said what you said, because it's not as intentional, or that would be corny. It's like, oh, the battle was this and now it's that. Because like I'm saying, the battles was a very dope, positive thing in many ways, you know what I mean? But in terms of the progression, it's crazy to come to that point where you're like, oh, I just spent my time thinking about dissing people all week, and then I spent the night where I won by dissing a lot of people who were probably closer to me than the people that made money off this venue tonight.
Yeah.
And then you created something where you was able to triple the match.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fun.
And that's not ego. That's the opposite of I'm gonna go home with a jacket. You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna go home knowing that I gave something to other people who actually were in need, not because they did something better than me, but because
And that's what hip hop is, though. That's
right.
what hip hop. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
hip hop is based off of building off of the community for the better.
But that was
Somewhere along the lines. You know what I mean?
the hard shift at some point, right? And so, you know, I'll sum up really quick again out of respect for y'all's time, because I'm again, like, thank y'all so much for having me on here.
Nah,
and
we here, brother. We here for 4 hours if you need us, man. But I just definitely want to get into your album.
But talking through this for me is also supportive. Like it's therapeutic for me to just like have this dialogue with y'all. And I really appreciate it. I mean, not just that, you know, because you're familiar faces, and I've known y'all for about 20 plus years, and it's love, and it's always been love every time I've seen y'all. And King, like, definitely good meeting you, and I appreciate your perspective and the questions and the way that you're digging also. Like, you're doing some amazing journalism right now, right? And keeping things on point too, because you know, you get a little older, we start going all over the place. You know, we have so many memories here. Like, we checking this.
Yeah, we really look like we sitting in front of Pyramid right now, just building. You know what I mean?
That's how we did, though, right? All night.
Like that gumball part by Shaman, that was brilliant. We said, well, that's some gumball rappers, right? That's the name. You checking
the you know what really helped me with trying to get back into a better space with hip hop, and just getting back to loving it, was just first off the MC challenge with EO Dub. The MC challenge, I think, like, God bless.
Rest in peace, advice, and major love and salute.
Yes.
Speaking of Big Zoo, right?
Yes.
Like you seen on that show, he was smacking people to the point they had to go and get you. You know what I mean? They was like, I'm going to get Daddy. I'm going to get Breez. So he was nice. But what did he do in EO Dub? He opened it up, right? To other MCs.
Yes.
Right?
And he built space for community. And they opened it up for people to come through. And the village was shutting everything down back then. We couldn't cipher on the corners no more. We was getting chased all over the place. And so they created a space for community. And then they created the MC challenge so that we could build instead of destroy.
They said if 6 of us was together or something, it was like there was something where they said they was gonna start arresting us anytime it was 6 of us.
Yep.
That's what the cypher was. It was like 8 people.
Easy.
Light. That's a that's a great point that you just made, though, because we could definitely get on a whole other build on the aspect of them even trying to break up the ciphers and everything like that. We can definitely get to it, because many people got arrested, jump out boys, and broke up junk. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We could talk about that, but hold up. In the sake of time, though, I need my brother Light to definitely segue into something that we do at the end of all of our shows. You know what I mean? Go ahead, my brother Light, take it away.
Yeah, let's we're gonna get into so Breeze, for the most part, we got two segments to end shows off. One is behind the bars, all right? And then we're gonna go bar break. So behind the bars is going into your project and kind of like, you know what I mean, breaking down some bars, man. And so the name of the album is Old Man Spring Chrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all need to get that. So first and foremost, man, and I'm gonna go into that. Yo, your library of music, though, Breeze. So thank you, brother. Thank you for what you're doing. So behind the bars, Generation Loud is one of the tracks on here, which I love. You know what I'm saying? Because it speaks about a lot of things, man. One of the things is kind of like the hook is you don't hear me on the radio. Now you don't hear me on the stereo, right? So we already. And I ain't gonna lie to you, Breeze.
Got to bring up Generation Loud, bro. This ain't fair.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Breeze. I feel like you set a tone on this album, on this project, that you let a lot of people that didn't understand. And I'm gonna break down some bars. So one of the ones I loved was We Was Tyson, Lennox, Jones, Riddick. There's something about these 70s and 80s kids. So first and foremost, you see the shirt. Back to the 90s, right? Just because out of the respect of this conversation, shout out to Just for Laughs and Shits. This is their shirt. We were loud. We were so proud. We would call you out on your bullshit and wouldn't back down. That right there, man, hard to comprehend if you wasn't there. Doesn't there need to be about 50 more documentaries from that point of time near the end of the century? Yo, it's crazy. And then on top of that, right?
Break it down.
You said, with egos big as ours, I knew we F it up eventually. We opened up the internet and made your ass the centerpiece. I kind of feel like y'all is the new generation. I may be wrong. I kind of feel like y'all is those who have capitalized on the foundations and the bricks that we spoke about laying down and do not have the same respect or the same passion for the culture.
Yeah, and it's a little different too, right? Like, you know, we fought for an even playing field, and so a lot of what we're seeing right now are the results of that effort. But I don't think we predicted the amount of narcissism that would come out in that generation that followed, you know? So even though we opened the door with, you know, our generation created Friendster, MySpace, Facebook. That was our generation. That was, for the most part, engineers and software engineers born in the 70s and 80s who created all this innovation and created the smartphones, right? Like that's people who were born in our generation. But I don't think we anticipated just how isolating a lot of this technology would be, and then the narcissism that would come out of that just causes people to just be unable to, you know, function adequately in social spaces, right? And so we were very in your face, but you know, this is the generation of trolls. Like they don't confront each other. Like they troll each other and, you know, live in this anonymous space where they just say whatever they want and don't realize what it was to get punched in the face if you said something that somebody didn't like. That was very different, but we went through that and we were still very vocal about what we saw and what we didn't like. And we were just very loud, just in general, right? Like we'd beef and then we calm down and we keep it moving.
That was a positive aspect of the battle where if you had somebody who you wanted to win or who that was your people in a battle, could you lose your integrity? It was like you got those moments where when you're on the mic, you could say something that'll win the crowd, but you know it's whack. It's not that creative. It's like a cheap punchline.
Yeah.
It was the same way when you was off the stage and your boy was winning or losing. There was a moment of integrity where you could say, yo, you lost it. You know what I mean? Like he got you. You know what I mean? For the art form, like it's not a big deal. Like, you know, you still a man. Like you nice. Don't force it. Or and this was actually something you had to do because sometimes I've been in this mode where adrenaline's running and you're not thinking properly. And that whole thing Shaman was saying about the ego, I was laughing when he was saying it because I'm like, you're describing a chemical reaction that any battle rapper knows or has seen a friend go through, where this person is out their damn mind. Like, bro, you lost. your words ain't connecting.
Yep.
But you don't want to let it go right now.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're an onlooker, and it's almost like seeing your man at the bar, like, bro, you drunk, like cut his tab. I'm taking him home. He's not driving. You kind of had to do that in battles. And I feel like part of what you're saying, like I've fought with friends before, like most people on this call have fought with friends before. In this generation, it's like that could be the end of your friendship if you came to blows, as opposed to like, yo, I'm just checking you, like we gotta fight right now. You know what I mean? But if you're behind the screen, you know what I mean? Like, I never have to see you again and I can unfollow you and block you. Where in person, it's like, yo, we're still gonna go to the same spots. I'll still see you next day. We might go hands or slack box or whatever. But it's like we learn to check each other. You know what I mean? You could tell me and Light and Rashaman do that all the time. It's like that's how we respect each other. Like you could check me, I could check you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a positive thing that a lot of people did develop from the battles if they was true to it and stayed into it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then that other part at the end was like it came with a lot of ego back then. There was a lot of bravado. Like 80s and 90s was like, you know, I mean, that's when the action movies had like body counts like Commando. What was like 65 people murked, like everything was over the top. So we came out of that era too, with a lot of bragging, boasting, a lot of ego, you know, so a lot of that telling people off and telling people about themselves also created that invincible mindset that created things like the internet, like what's going on right now, right? Because we were just making things and not really thinking about, you know, where can this end or where could this stop? Like we was just invincible, and that was that mindset.
Yep.
But there was something
so
to
he
that.
said Takashi emotion is what you're saying.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
A dude that can kill everybody, just every rapper, and then end up snitching.
Right. That's what it is. That's what it is. Breeze. Happy Little Clouds.
Yes.
I like this track, man.
Thank you.
There was two balls in there, B, that I knew. Old Breeze on MTV and Blaze with the Stronghold sweaters, the one that wasn't playing with you, I knew he was on this track. This ain't a body for the buzzers, but a buzzsaw cutting up the bird out the oven. When I heard that, I said, yeah, that's just Breeze flexing. That's just letting them know, like, yo, fam, I don't care how you think age or how long you may have not heard of me. Let me let you know I ain't the one to be played with. Please build on that, brother.
I think it's self-explanatory in that.
Okay.
And that's the thing, right? Like, it's one of those things about like sleeping dogs, right? Just leave them alone. Like, you know, you don't want that. And every now and then, like even with the ciphers we were doing down here, right? Like I would let the youngins go ham, right? Like it was for them. Like I was just happy to be a part of it. And every now and then I'd get a little taste. But let somebody violate the cipher and I gotta verbally check them and put them back in place. And then that's where I would get into that zone and something would click. And then the dudes around would look and be like, I didn't know you were capable of shifting into that space. And I'm like, well, it's wordplay. And I'm actively participating in muscle memory right now through the process of this cipher. Like, but this is something I've done for 30 years. So if it's a sport involving words, you can't tell me there's a chronological limit to it unless my tongue actively stops working. Now, I'll give them some things, right? Like, you know, because of where my brain is right now in my development, like I can't draw some of the associations as fast verbally that they're able to, but I'm also at an age where I don't need to use that many words to land a really good haymaker. And that's all goes back to the samurai piece, right? Like they wasn't like trying to be like, nah, they was trying to get that one swing. That's it. Yep. They don't have to take a lot.
But off that bar, you're showing that still. But off that bar, you're still showing it.
Yeah.
Hey, you letting them know I got this, man. This
letting them know that sword is active.
That's all it is. That song is just like if need be, like, but I'm not trying to get into no ages conversation. Like we definitely still do this.
I got one
it's a
more.
point. It's a point where it's like, you know, you're not trying to prove yourself, but you understand from when you were that other people need to prove themselves, but they still kind of at that part where instead of just expressing themselves, they think they need to diss somebody else. So you like, cool, well, in this moment where I cut you down and put you on stun for a second, the thought that's gonna hit you after that is, oh, he could have done that to me this whole time, but he didn't. So maybe I don't have, like, I remember I was doing a program at a school, and it was just, I was facilitating the cipher, and they was doing the thing, you know, they giggling at each other, looking at each other, you know what I mean? Like, you not in the cipher and you just facilitate it. They don't even understand what it's like creating a space in your school for you young people, you know what I mean? So I'm on your side. And they started saying something about like old da-da-da-da. And I remember I said, someone said, these old niggas, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it came around to me and I was like, yo, I'm older than you. I rap better than you. I'm a rap better than you till I'm 72, and you gonna be dissing me to your son, talking about the things I wasn't letting you do. You know what I mean? And I remember that because for me, it was just like off the top. You gave me the alley, you know what I mean? But I remember looking at them being like, you know what I'm saying? You see that look at their face, and it's like that was the initiation for them. You know what I mean? That actually made them respect me more and enjoy me more because it was like, oh, he's talking about us. He's responding to us. But this whole time he was just saying like education and I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? Instead of dissing us. So now when you walk away, you know that dumb young people can do the same thing. They realize it's not all about dissing people just because you can.
It's not.
Right. One more, and it wasn't necessarily bars, man. Hip hop wins. You spoke about the RZA and Primo battle, which I thought was so dope, man. You also mentioned the Zoom Memorial, which I believe was for Vice Versus you was talking about, right?
Absolutely.
That was,
yeah.
You know, it's crazy, man. There's various times in small pockets where we could actually sit there, man. And there's times where we comfortably say hip hop wins. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Primo and RZA joint, like this generation may not understand what that was. You know what I'm saying? But the Zoom Memorial to lose someone like Jason Williams, man, to lose Vice Versus. You know what I'm saying? And he too, very humble, great heart.
Yeah.
That was a great loss, man, for hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I love that the concept behind this track, this record, is hip hop wins, because even through the loss, that Zoom Memorial, you know what I'm saying, to see the love, the support, you know what I'm saying, across, and you know, EOW's big. They got EOW, France, Italy, Alaska, you know what I'm saying, and to see that love across the board, man, was so dope. You know what I mean? And shout out to an amazing soul, amazing spirit that we lost in Vice. You know what I mean? And I think you're right, man. Hip hop did definitely win even through that loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just kind of like, those are the moments, man. There's a lot of times, man, being in social service, especially. I tell a lot of people that I mentor who are coming up, I always tell them, look, man, you're not going to see the money on your check is not going to be the payment that's going to make you happy. It's going to be the lives you change. You know what I'm saying? And I think that through all the we talking about MC battles, we're talking about various things, we're talking about ego, we're talking about, you know, all that. But to see the love that was shown to Vice, man, was gorgeous.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I thank you for putting that down there on that track, man.
I could not. And that's the other space that I've been in lately is, very, very stream of conscious when I'm working, right? Like whatever's going on in the moment is going to come out in my music. And part of that is to kind of document, my life as it goes. So I know people want the documentary, like honestly, like a lot of it is already in verse if you look at the music throughout the years. But right now I'm purposefully documenting my life because with all the losses that we've suffered throughout the years, each loss makes me that much aware of my own mortality, right? And I want to be able to tell my own story when people look back. I want it to be as as current as possible, right? I want to have the most current chapter of the book already written, and I express myself through music. And so for the last couple of years, everything's been very personal and very much about what's going on in the moment and what my mindset is right now. And so that was like one of those moments where I was just writing about what was going on around me and just, making sense of it all, but also trying to get it to fit within the groove and the music, because I still want it to knock. So appreciate you for checking and listening to that extent. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you,
we
brother.
was on a build together, bro, a couple years back, and and Technique was on the bill too, I believe. It was you, me, and Technique. This was one of the shows that Wise Guy had booked us for. Shout out to Wise Guy and Gasson at the New Eurekan. And this was your birthday party as well, show. And it was bittersweet because this show was fire. Again, I just remember the energy was electric. Everybody was on point. It was a real hip hop classic moment. But it was your birthday, and one of the things you said to me on the side was like, well, you told everybody this was your last joint, like you was stopping rapping. You know what I'm saying? But of course, I had to confront you. You know what I mean? I had to confront you. You knew if you saw me in the crowd, it's gonna be a confrontation about this, because I'm just like, I'm the poster boy of optimism in hip hop in the underground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you probably knew. But I saw you on the side like, bro, what are you talking about? And like, man, it really hit me, bro. Cause I'll never forget, you was like, yo, like when you really great at a couple things and you keep doing too much, you might be limiting yourself. And for those who don't know, when you look at a lot of the art, in fact, Breeze has another project already from Old Man Spring with the Cosmos project with Deep, you know what I mean? So we can't even talk, like, you just constantly in the flow. And that's what hit me. For those who don't know, when you see somebody that's that prolific and they like, I'm gonna just stop this thing. So it was a real question for me, you know what I mean? It wasn't small talk. And he was like, bro, like when you really good at a couple things and you doing too much, you're actually limiting your mastery of something. And that was one of those things I actually needed to hear at that point in my life, because I had been working at the cubicle and then just doing hip hop at night. I hadn't found a way to start my own business. And I was like, if I put the same time into my own business that I put into their business, I could at least make this much, if not more, you know what I mean? And the rest is history. But you was one of the people who really hit me, you know what I mean? Like I felt it, like, God, I'm not taking myself serious right now. But for those who don't know, you're a serious illustrator as well as a serious MC. Which is hard for people to understand. Somebody that got all these legendary moments and battling Wu-Tang and being one of the first to go to HBO and all these things, having a crew, like he's that nice in the comic book world as well. So first of all, long story short, for you to say I'm documenting and I'm doing all these projects, you know I'm lit. But what was it like? Did you, when you went to that transition, did it help you to like put rap to the side for a second and focus on your illustration? And then how did that lead you back to what you're doing now?
It was different, right? Like, remember I said earlier, like, a lot of pursuing this and the focus that I had led me into those situations where I didn't have anything. And I was like homeless for those times without even being aware of it or acknowledging it, right? And I don't think I really focused on just how far down in the hole I had gotten until my mom passed in 2007, right?
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, man. To this day, right? Like that's the foundation of everything, right? She was my only parent, so that rocked my world, but also caused me to, just take a look at things just a little bit differently, right? In the process leading up to that, I was working through a lot of those emotions by working on music, and I finally felt like I had found that recording voice again that I had lost in the early 90s by focusing on battles. So I recorded the Troublemakers album with Dirty Dutch, and then Breeze D's Trees with my man Davey Tree and Noah D. And those two albums to me were like the first times that I also did a consistent project with one producer and had that consistent sound throughout. And I finally felt like I had it, right? But then with those two projects, I didn't get the responses that I had hoped for, and Dutch invested in it and got someone to do radio promotion, and we did like really good, like college chart wise. Like we were on the charts for so many weeks, and the only thing that kept us from number one was a Lupe Fiasco album that had come out around that same time, right? So like here was one last push, right? But now it wasn't just the ego that was doing it. It was more about my man's taking bread away from his family to invest in me, and this didn't land again. How many times can I ask other people to pull from their investments if they're not going to get that money back? It started weighing on my conscience. And then, my mom passing just kind of had me focus on like where I was in terms of loss and finances. And I was like, I need to put some of this energy into work. I can't keep trying to pursue this right now. And I did. And I buried that energy, all that creative energy I had, into work. Like I worked myself really hard. I was able to advance quite a bit. And luckily, end up in a situation where, I was able to take care of a lot of those old debts and get into a much better situation currently. Right. And then the other thing that hit was about 3-4 years ago now, 2016. Yeah. Was just that focus on work, right? Things were still going good, almost 6 years of hiatus since that night when I told you that. And then it was like, I'm working, but I'm not happy. And I'm coming home, but I'm not happy. And my wife's like, you need to start making some music again. You should think about getting back.
Salute to the wives.
All day.
All day.
All day. She knew. And then she gave me the okay to invest in a little bit of equipment. And I got like the little mic and the little setup in the crib, and started like another homie, Jason Rogers, had an old Mac Pro he wasn't using no more. It was like an old one, but it was good to just record a little bit. He was like, if you want it, you could take it. I took that and just hit up my man DJ Static. And I was like, Static, it's been forever. Can you hook me up? And Static sent me like heat that I wasn't nowhere near the shape to rock to at that point, but it got me back into it. And then it was just off to the races from there. And then it even got to a point where the other year, like, when it came to the ciphers, like going out and ciphering again, that was like my boss telling me that, because I was telling her how I missed ciphering, and she was like, why don't you just start doing something in the park? Like you go to this one at your friend's house every now and then, like you guys should bring it outside. And like, so again, like
salute to the bosses that want their employees to actually be happy and healthy, and what helps their mental health and their other careers.
And that was the thing. So I had spent that 6 years focusing on just, suppressing all that creativity, because I thought I needed to just focus on work to get right. And then as I started to get right, I forgot about the release, the joy, and what the music gave me, And then also, like, as an example for my son too, as he gets older, like he's incredibly creative right now. He's an amazing artist. Like he does some really cool stuff. And I want to be that example too, like, And so me and my wife are both artists, and we are fortunate to be able to express ourselves in art regularly now. And now that it's back in my life, like it just is what it is. Like, so the last couple of years,
welcome back. Welcome back.
But it's also from the perspective now that I'm thankful also that I don't have to do it to eat. And so I hopefully my thoughts are a little bit clearer, and what I'm putting out there has a little bit more intent, and lands the way that I would like it to, without that desperation that was starting to creep in there in the early 2000s.
So in a way, it's back where it started, where you were spitting bars not to eat, because you had that skill and you was out there in the street, because it felt a certain way. And you got old man winter, old man spring. It's like you went through these seasons and you come full circle, and it's a new beginning. I'm proud to be your brother. I'm proud we're gonna have many more collaborations. I already know.
Yes,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Pay these bills and get back to the collabs. And so yeah, I just want to ask you one question, and then I'm gonna let Light and Rob finish
we
this.
gotta wrap it up, my brother. We gotta wrap it up. Let's
Yeah,
try to get.
this is my last question. Was it all worth it? Like, would you have skipped any one of these phases, or do you think they was all necessary for you to like understand how life works and be able to understand different aspects of the culture?
I wouldn't be the person I am if I didn't go through it, but I also wouldn't be the person I am for the people that rely on me either. And it's like the people that I relate to best right now are those people who've been through something in life, something significant, right? There's something about those individuals when they're able to pull through those moments and get back on their feet and get back moving forward. And even more so when they start being able to think about other people and supporting those other people. And I know that in my position and the work that I do, like it's important for the people that I work with, the people that I support, that they feel that from me when I connect with them. And I know it's important for my music to carry a certain amount of weight, that I let as much of that out and be as honest and candid about my experiences when I put that out there into the universe, that hopefully somebody's listening, like, I'm going through it right now, but hearing you went through it and got through it is going to get me through it. So thank you for that. And every time I get like
SoundMinds,
2 people that say that to me, like it makes it all worthwhile. So I of course there, some things that maybe other people will be like, I wish you didn't have to go through that. But if I didn't go through that, then I might not be able to help somebody else get through that.
That's dope.
SoundMinds to that, man. We have to say SoundMinds to that.
Word up, SoundMinds. So Breez, this is another segue into before we close up. It's called the ball break.
Yes.
So the ball break is your favorite 16 that you ever spit. Doesn't have to be the most powerful. It's just your favorite 16. So you thought this was gonna be easy, huh?
It's just this really corny rhyme that I spit for a song that never came out, but it was with my man Cassius Clay Mag. But I remember just playing with the word scheme, and I was on some like old school, old timey gangster type of thing with my word, with my mouth and whatnot. It was like 1,000 destinies, but only one destination. 1,000 recipes, but only one way to taste it. Let's face it, like Cage and Travolta. Only from the mind like Minota could you alter. Watch me front psychic like Walter Mercado. Your future seemed rocky like Colorado. Go for self became your lifestyle instead of model. Packaged and bottled, hollow like Ichabod's Town. Like it's a job to get down and shake your bound rump. With sound pumps, I found unappealing chumps acting lovely. Acting bubbly. The world is so lovely when you ain't trying to prove jack. I move back like karate combat counterattacks. When I'm pounding for stacks, I fax the presidents of labels. I'm like, we coming, so prepare if you able. I burn your whole stable of artists from hardest to the hardly. Pardon me if that be ungodly. Allow me to flow. And I was like 6 when I
allow me to flow. Hold up. You mean to tell me that is not your catchphrase till today?
Nah, but
I wish I was old enough. I could have branded you, man. That would have been it right
Breez
there.
Evahflowin, brought to you by SoundMinds. Allow me to flow. Featuring
me to flow.
SoundMinds.
Bro, that's the catchphrase of
that's the track. You gotta be on that track.
You need to market that, man. Put that on some shirts and some bottles, and you good.
That's how you brand and market Breez Evahflowin. Allow me to flow. The Allow Me to Flow tour. Like, what you talking about? Like, what we talking about?
Another thing. I seen on the social media this week, somebody said you and Breez Evahflowin. I'm signed up for that already. Y'all doing that track? Y'all got to do that. We got to be on your track. Allow me to flow. You know what I'm saying?
You know that's not gonna happen though. That track is never gonna happen because he's one of the realest MCs, and I know he got his code and he's got a credo to this, and he sticks to it. And I think for both of us, just approaching it, like just the gimmicky nature of it, will turn us both away from it. It's almost like it's almost too predictable. Like somebody would have to create the most perfect vehicle, and we would have to not know that we're getting into it for that to happen.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
and it's
literally is
gonna
all
happen.
how it's painted. It's
And we
how
are
it's
gonna
presented.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Right. But that speaks to your integrity, brother. So, Breeze, I can't tell you anytime I've ever seen you in the physical, you have been a blessing, brother. And I thank you for everything that you're doing now, man. I thank you for still rocking out. I thank your wife for telling you, nah, you need to do this. And whoever else in your circle is helping Breeze still be Breeze. Because as a human being, you're an amazing person. I gotta let you know that, brother to brother. You know what I mean? So to see you still smiling, to see you still putting out happy little clouds, you know what I mean? Like all those things, even though some people may not get to read in between the lines, I feel like we're fortunate to still see you rocking out, brother. So thank you for that, man. I salute you. I can't thank you enough for being on here, man. Like I said, man, and a couple of other guests, we don't just ask just anybody to be on here. You know what I mean? And you are a blessing, brother. So we need to, like I said, man, with the Over the Influence track, man, I gave the flowers, man, Stronghold. Even at the time when we was rocking the SoundMinds, it was brethren, it was still, but I had to shout you out, man. And when I do that, it's also shouting you out individually because you've been a blessing, brother. So thank you, man. Thank you for being on here, man. I can't tell you how much we appreciate that as well.
You said it.
You said it, man. You definitely said it.
Thank y'all so much. Again, like y'all, you just left me a little speechless right there. And you know, like just give thanks. I'm just happy to see y'all active, still here, still rocking. Thank you so much for the shout out and the song. That made my day, man. Like I had that on repeat for a good minute, but that was a really thoughtful jam also. But that's the kind of music that, you know, I think there's a lane for it. I think there's a space for it. And, you know, I think if we stay collectively working towards it, maybe we could see that lane open up just a little bit more to give people some insights into these perspectives that I feel are important, right? Like, sure, everybody wants to party and escape. That's good. But, you know, every now and then, I think, you know, it'd be good to listen to just some perspective and some growth. And y'all have that in abundance. So I always feel grateful every time I'm able to connect with you as well. So thank you so much for this time. I know it's a lot of time. I apologize for being so long-winded.
Nah. Never that. Because honestly speaking, you know, it's kind of hard, man. It's kind of like we again, same eras. Age is probably a little different. You know what I mean? We're a little younger, but at the same time, just based off of the fact of what we came from, is only right. You know what I'm saying? So never you to apologize. It's just more so because we don't want to hold you. We know you have family. We know that you got to get back. You know what I mean? And so we appreciate your time, brother. And you're never long-winded, man, because everything you said had a point.
It's hard to keep interviews going with a gimmick or with like weird little questions, but honestly, it's just like freestyling for hours and not realizing it's 6 a.m. Like when you having a real interview like we do, right? It's like it's different.
That's definitely what SoundMinds is about. And with that being said, there's one thing that we have to say to close out the show, and we all got to say it together with my brother Breeze. At 1, 2, 3, SoundMinds.
Salute,
Thank
y'all.
you, everybody.
My brother Breeze.
Thank you, Breeze.
Peace to you, man.
See you soon, King.
Thank you.